Oh, shit. Oh, that's one way to start stream. Is by dropping my headphones on the floor. Whew. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the greatest live show of all time. That is right, everybody. I may or may not include timestamps in the description below. This is a late night stream, second stream tonight, and yeah, hope you're all doing well. Hello, Diaperios. Congratulations on being the first person in chat. Hello, Ona Yoshiahu. Hope you're doing well. Hello, Dark Reaper. If chat floats like a damn tsunami again, my brain is going to short circuit for real. Hello, Nicola. Hello, Randy S. Saying hello again, gang. Why, hello. Hello, Adon420 Cereal. Hope you're doing well. Hello, Cracker Snatcher. Hope you're also doing well. Otherwise, I'm going to be very sad. And, yeah. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Wow. But, I hope you're all doing well. Hello, Cheetah Man, saying, me when I space out and don't follow the link to the new stream. To be fair, I didn't post a link. Yo, thank you, Mike Hawk. Incredible username, by the way, for the $5. You beautiful fucking bastard, saying, I heart trainers for real, for real. Me too. Me too. I don't know, why is it not showing up on Streamlabs? That's weird. It should show up on Streamlabs. Are donos broken? Or is it just that one? I have no idea. That's very weird. It shouldn't be broken. What? Is my Streamlabs broken? Now it says that there's two what? Okay. Well, my shit's broken. Anyways. Oh, must have been dono link? Oh, yeah. I always left the dono link in the pin message. I'll be back after the fight. See ya. No worries. Not broken? Okay. For whatever reason, the dono didn't show up on my screen. Like, I mean, it did for, like, the chat, but, like, not, like, normally it should, like, show up here. But it didn't. I don't know. I'm gonna have to keep an eye on that. Hopefully, if it doesn't show Streamlabs donos, then that's going to be, like, a problem, right? But yeah. But I don't think that that's going to be an issue. Hello, Polly. Hello, Nightish? Nightish? Did I pronounce that right? Hope you're doing well. I'm high. I see. I can invite you at festival. Is that so? How you doing? I'm just chilling. Welcome back, girlies. Hello, Basil Loves Unix. Good to see you again. Hope you're doing well. If not, I'm going to be very sad. Which is like the complete opposite of happy. You know? Almost every time we hit peak algorithm, it's like a sea of slurs and assholes. Yeah. Anyways, who up here transing their gender in here? Me. I am. Hello, Trans Whooper. Hope you're doing well. Hello, Battlecrafter, for the additional $5. You beautiful fucking bastard. Saying hi again. Okay, so donos are working. I don't know why one of them didn't show up. Maybe it's a super chat issue? I don't know. I don't know. I guess occasionally, like, a super chat might not show up, but I don't know. That shouldn't be an issue. I don't know why. I don't know. Occasionally super chats bug out, I think, then. Because, yeah, the dono does work. At least for Streamlabs. But they're all supposed to show up on screen. To be fair, only the super chats, or sorry, Streamlabs donos count for the dono goal bar thingy. But, you know, I don't know how to change that. I was in stream like a cup of coffee ago, and there was just some guy spamming, "Sir, you don't deserve rights." At least he ain't in here, you know. Yeah, people say that, but then they wonder why. It's like, oh wow, I wonder why the left hates us. It could be anything, truly. It's apparently the left is the side that has too much violent rhetoric. Like, okay, 2 weeks ago I got blockers. Well, congratulations. I wish I could have gotten blockers when I was younger. I would have killed for that. Anyways. It would just be a good person. That's what I'm saying. Just be a good person. I love your voice. Well, thank you. I'm glad you enjoy the voice. I'd be very sad if you didn't. I feel that people be wild, and they do. They really do. They do be wildin'. Hello, Desire Arc. Good to see you again. I feel as if trans women aren't truly quote unquote women. What do you mean by women? Because if we're talking like a biological reality, right, which is not what we're referring to when we say women, then like sure. But again, I think the term you're looking for is female, like biologically female, right? Like a trans woman isn't going to be biologically female. Like if I was biologically female, then what would I be transitioning to and from, right? Like I wouldn't be transitioning from female to female. That doesn't make any sense, right? But in terms of like whether or not you're a man or a woman or non-binary, that's going to be like a purely social category, right? In which case, yeah, trans women fit into that social category of woman just as much as any other woman, right? It's like just like an arbitrarily defined social category. I have no political opinion. If I pick one, the other will just hate me. That's like a really, no offense, weak way of viewing things, right? You should pick opinions based on what is factually correct, right? It's not about like who's upset over it. Like you shouldn't just like do, well, what makes people the least upset, right? You should believe in things because they're true and disagree with things because they're false. You know, maybe that's just me. Anyways. It's nice to see someone state an opinion in a respectful manner after last stream. Hell yeah. Like this thing is like, I don't know. People act like it's like always weird when people are like, oh, you just create an echo chamber. It's like, well, that's not true. Like I engage with people that ask questions all the time. I answer all sorts of questions. I engage with people that disagree with me. I let them stick around. Like I don't really get the whole like argument. Your voice is so nice I could probably sleep to it. Well, I'm glad you enjoy the voice. I'm glad you like it. Are you a boy at first or girl? So I'm male to female. So I was assigned male at birth, but I'm a woman. Why are you so mean? Me? I don't think I'm that mean. I can be a little mean sometimes. But anyways. You were just sounding like Charlie Kirk? That's not true. Or Charlie Kirk is like known for being a dishonest actor. There's a reason he wouldn't debate Sam Cedar. You're kind of beautiful though. Well, thank you. Anyways. Let's see. Well, a Ukrainian refugee was stabbed in the fucking neck in Charlotte. See? Just for fucking existing and playing games on her phone. Yeah. Please don't talk about Charlie Kirk like that. Why? Why wouldn't I? Like, I can say what I think. W. Dibrios? Okay, alright. And hey, Femi. Hello, Dusky Moth. Anyways. Let's see. Freedom of speech? Yes, I am in favor of freedom of speech. I feel you're intelligent and firm in your beliefs. So the latter is definitely true. I don't know if I'm intelligent. I'm like, I don't know. I think of myself as just like a regular person. Anyways. That's true. No, free speech is when you have an opinion that I agree with, actually. That's what free speech is. Now, free speech is when you agree with me and then you say it out loud. You can be trans, but why do your name like that? Oh, what, Femyoz? So originally Femyoz was Femboy Lyrios, because Lyrios was like a different name that I went by on the internet. And like this was originally a femboy channel for talking about femboy stuff. And then I came out as trans, but like everybody already knows me as Femyoz, so I'm not going to change my name. You know what I mean? Hope that helps. Because this was originally an alt account. You know? But yeah. But yeah, it was originally short for Femboy Lyrios. Hello, SS Caro. Hope you're doing well. Good to see you again. What do you mean you're trans? It means that I don't identify with the gender that I was assigned at birth, right? It's like if I'm told that it's like if I'm told to be a boy and then I end up being a girl, right? Then I'm gonna be trans. It's your vocabulary as well. There are plenty of stupid people that use vocabulary like mine, though. In all fairness, like they're gonna have like you could say that people like me have high verbal intelligence, but you can't really make determinations based on that alone. I guess you could like look at the like logic and reasoning. Like you can make some determinations. Like I do make like intuition based determinations about like relatively how intelligent is somebody going to be, like at least in some regard. But I mean, a lot of people are able to say things that sound smart while saying like the dumbest shit ever. So I think it goes beyond vocabulary. I think vocabulary can be something that points you in the right direction, but I don't think it's and I think you would agree that it's not exclusively indicative. I'm not saying that you think that, but I think it's more complex than that. Are you wearing mascara? Yeah, I'm not wearing anything but mascara. Why do you ask? Sorry, Femyoz, for being so late. I've become nocturnal. Don't worry, I'm also nocturnal, essentially. This chat reminds me of my friend met my other Italian friend and asked if he likes Mario. Type shit. Type shit. Looks good, thank you. Yes, but you know what you're saying. That's true. That's true. Actually, if anything, I think something I might want to work on is being able to say things in a way that's like more simple, right? Generally, I believe that being able to articulate something in a way that's not like, that doesn't like sound super complex, even if it is. The ability to like simplify something into like a very, not simplistic argument, but like a very easy to dissect one. I think is like an underrated sign of intelligence. Like the ability to be like, I guess like concise and not overly verbose, unless it's like absolutely necessary to be. I think is like something that people don't give enough credit for. Like people that are infinitely smarter than me will do a better job at that than I will. I'm one of the most obnoxiously verbose people because it's a lot more difficult to articulate yourself in a way that's concise in many cases. You know? But don't dumb down? Correct. There's a difference between, I guess, quote unquote, dumbing down the terminology that you use versus dumbing down the actual logic and reasoning. You don't want to lose sight of the actual logical justifications for what you believe, or get too caught up in like the rhetorical side of things, or to like oversimplify the actual logic behind what you're saying. Yeah, the ability to explain things in a way that's understandable is like a useful skill. Yes, I am familiar with Paul's ego and Deep Fried Frat. Why do you ask? Anyways. One sec, let me go grab water real quick. Hell yeah. Not gonna lie, bro, I see your stream time to time, and every time I do, you look more like a girl. Do you ever miss how you used to look? Hell no, I do not miss how I used to look at all. At all. I never have missed it, and I never will. But yeah, I don't miss looking more male. That was like pretty bad. Pretty bad stuff. I haven't thought about Paul's ego since like 2016. Yeah, fair. I don't think he's like particularly relevant now, but he seems chill. I don't know. I don't know that much about him though. Femi, hi girl. Hello, Nox. Hope you're doing well. Anyways, what about Femboy era? Look, I'm like a little bit nostalgic for the Femboy era just because it was like a lot of fun, but I wouldn't go back to it. Right? Femboy era was temporary. Right? It wouldn't be the same if I did it now. You know what I mean? It's like the same way that if you're like, I guess maybe the best comparison is like, maybe I'm wrong because I don't really have much of a childhood to go off of, but I guess like if there's like something about your childhood that you're nostalgic about, like you can replicate whatever that is, right? Like maybe you have like a really good memory, like playing in like a sandbox or something. Like if you were to do that like now as like an adult, right? It just like wouldn't be the same. It wouldn't replicate the memory properly. right? It would be like kind of like, it doesn't work. It'd be like that kind of. Like, yeah, I could go back to like, being a femboy. I could like get a haircut and like, but it just wouldn't be the same. You know what I mean? Like the thing that I like about the femboy era is it's like I was starting to be myself. That's what I like about it. Do you have any advice to a young trans girl? Yeah, stay safe out there. And look, I had the luxury of not being extremely political when I was younger because I wasn't out as trans. So, I had that luxury. If you're younger, you don't. Sorry, that's just the way it is. Don't get so invested in politics to the point where it like negatively impacts you mentally because you're not going to be able to do anything with that knowledge. But just keep an eye on stuff. Pay attention to politics, especially related to trans issues. And always think for yourself. Anyways, since I'm FTM, I'm currently in the femboy era. Type shit. Yeah, it'd be like that. Double tap to smash like everyone if you haven't already. All right, very, very important stuff. Very important stuff. All right, we're gonna get right into the meat, the juice, the content, if you will. All right, we're gonna talk about how this guy left the left and woke culture 2 years ago, apparently. Okay, very, very important stuff. Okay, it's from Amir Odom, or whatever his name is. Okay, we're gonna find out together if it plays. It doesn't look like
I went from marching with.
Oh my! Is it gonna load? Wow, doesn't look like it.
Black Lives Matter to meeting President Trump.
I went from grifting to one side of the aisle to grifting to the other.
Throughout that year, I asked myself some key questions that you might be asking yourself too. Why are we saying that we embrace love, equality, and acceptance, but I'm scared to express my opinion with my friends?
What? I don't think that most people are scared of expressing their opinion unless they believe some abhorrent shit. I'm gonna be real. Either that or like people are more neurotypical than I think and like everyone is just scared of expressing their opinions, in which case, fucking skill issue, that's not the left's fault.
Why are we saying that the right is racist and divisive when I'm
because it is, and that's just like a part of objective reality.
saying no better from ourselves? Why are we saying that we stand for the truth, but we'll try and shut down anyone who offers up an alternative viewpoint?
Well, that's just not true. Like, I'm gonna make fun of you, I'm gonna shit on you for the wrong things that you say, but at no point have I been in favor of censorship. I am more than happy to allow you, and people like you, to be out and about and say all of your wrong beliefs, so that people like me can shit on them.
My name's Amir, and this is my story on how I went from the left, the right, and everywhere in between. Why do
Wow. Oh, and everywhere in between, really?
so many people hate me? I asked myself this a lot growing up. I was taught.
I mean, that's fucking depressing.
That being black was going to make my life way harder than it needed to be, and I was going to have to work harder than a lot of the white kids out there.
Well, hold on. It's not just going to be a matter of whether or not you're black. This just like fundamentally like rejects the notion of intersectionality. It's not just whether or not you're black. It's also going to be like, what area do you live and grow up in? Like, what's your socioeconomic status, right? Just like in a broad sense, right?
Because of the color of my skin. Not only that, but I was also taught that being gay is bad. And when I realized I was gay in 5th and 6th grade, I was like, oh crap, well, I'm going to lock this away and put this in the closet, which that'll be a video coming soon outlining my coming out story. But that was just like, okay, now there's 2 check marks on me. Being black and gay and being told that both of these things were going to be oppressing me throughout my life.
Well, it's not that those things themselves are going to be oppressing you, but like, yeah, there are going to be ways in which you're going to be treated worse. Like, it's kind of difficult to like notice until like you see like a before and after, maybe, or like see like a difference. Like if you have to compare and contrast, right? And that's something I've done as a trans woman, right? People treat me very differently from how they treated me before I came out, right? When I was presenting as a guy, I was treated very differently than I am now. Right? And there's a reason for that, right?
Set the foundation for a lot of my beliefs and my traumas as well. It created this victimhood mindset in me that...
See, but that's the thing, is like, it doesn't have to be a victimhood mindset. It could just be like I think that the system is flawed and needs to change, and not disproportionately affect certain groups of people in a negative way, right? Like, I don't really have a victim mindset. I'm just aware of the fact that, like, yeah, people are going to oftentimes treat me worse because I'm trans, right? Doesn't mean that I have a victim mindset, but what it does mean is that I am in favor of things that reduce that, right? I'm in favor of policy positions that make it easier for people like me to exist, right? That's not like a victim mindset. That's just understanding the reality of the matter and going forward. It seems like he has a very different mindset than I do.
Festered through from elementary school all the way up to college. I thought the worst at all times, and I knew that this is not a life I wanted to live, but I also knew that it had to be the change I wished to see. I couldn't just give up, so I became more politically active. Why are we blaming white people for everything?
Oh, who is we? I don't think that people are, in general, blaming white people for everything. It's just, like, not true. Like, maybe some white people in power, sure. Like, conservative white people, maybe. But it's not a matter of whether or not they're white. I just am anti-conservative in general. Like, it doesn't matter their skin color. So.
To my first major Black Lives Matter rally, and while it felt really cool being a part of something, I noticed that not all the issues were being talked about.
Or maybe it's the case that you were there for the wrong reasons. And maybe you were there because you wanted to, like, fit in, right? Look, this is why I'm against, like, the whole, like, being political just to fit in type of mentality. Becomes, like, very echo chambery. It's something I'm against.
They weren't mentioning Black fathers in the home.
More than 72% of children in the African American community are born out of wedlock.
They were mentioning Black.
Yeah, what causes that, though? Do you think it might have something to do with their socioeconomic circumstances? Or, oh, it's just, well, it's just in their Black DNA, I guess, LOL. Like, what do you think is going to be the more likely case scenario?
On Black crime.
We got Black people killing each other every day, actually outnumbering the deaths of the police versus, you know, urban people.
It was just a...
Okay, but if you're going to talk about systemic racism, specifically in terms of police, you would want to compare the likelihood of, I don't know, police officers killing a Black person for the same thing that they wouldn't kill a white person for, or, you know, the extent to which they pull over Black people. I think they actually did like a study on this, where essentially, it was contingent upon like when people drive home from work, and it's going to be different depending on the time of year and based on daylight savings time, etc. Right? And what you notice is that when it's bright outside and people are driving home from work, Black people are disproportionately pulled over way more than when it's dark outside and you can't see who's, you know, driving the car. Right? If it was the case that, oh, well, Black people just commit more crimes, you would notice that the same amount of Black people would be getting pulled over regardless of whether or not you can see through the window and see what the person's skin color is, right? Now, that's not to say that police officers are actively thinking about the person's race. They're not actively thinking, I'm going to pull this person over because they are Black. But what it does represent is some biases that they may or may not be aware of. The same line of logic applies to, say, for instance, the justice system, the judicial branch, right? Where if a Black person commits the same crime as a white person, they are, on average, going to receive a much harsher sentence. This is just like a fact. So there is systemic racism, right? So I don't know why he's making the argument that there isn't.
Giant, we hate the cops and we hate white people party, and I'm not a part.
But nobody is a part of the I hate white people party. This is just like made up. Oh, but what about like fucking, I don't know, some 14-year-old neo-pronoun furry on Twitter? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I guess maybe they hate white people. What about it? Why is that relevant?
That crew. I'm here to make change. I'm here to bridge people together, not to just complain in the streets and then do nothing about it. It's already left.
That's true. You're here to complain on YouTube instead and to do nothing about it. Wow, big difference.
Left that rally with the bad taste in my tongue. I just did not like the vibe of that at all. But I still
and that's fine, but like this is just like vibes-based politics.
went back to college and I joined my Black student union and did a little, the local BLM move.
You're putting words into his mouth to virtue signal as a white person. No, it's actually quite the contrary. I'm taking things that he says to their logical conclusions sometimes, but what I'm really doing is I'm just explaining what my position is and why I believe the things that I do. It has nothing to do with whether I'm white or whether or not he's Black. It's kind of irrelevant. You could say all the same things as a white person and I would say the same things in response. It doesn't matter.
Events around campus, that was pretty much it. What have
Bro pauses every 2 seconds? Well, if you don't like me pausing every 2 seconds, then You're not going to like my show because we do transformative content over here. We don't just, sit here and let the video play for 20 minutes and not say anything. Unless I'm like really tired or something.
What have I been lied to about? Like any other college student, I was on Tinder and I went on a date with this very nice gentleman. On this date, we were very brutal and honest with each other, and we got on the topic about politics and race relations, and he's white, and he brings up the "it's okay to be white" signs that were popping.
Dude, nobody is saying it's not okay to be white. Like, where is this happening? Like, who is saying you're not allowed to be white? Like, it's just like an argument against like the voices inside your head. It's like you obviously mean something else, right? Because it's not. So there's no argument about whether or not it's okay to be white. Everyone agrees that it's okay to be white. Nobody disagrees with that. So if you leave up a sign like that, you're probably signaling something else, right? You might be signaling some other motivation, like some other political motive, some other political position that's a little bit more obscure, because nobody is claiming that it's not okay to be white. That's just not happening.
Up all around campus, it was going viral, and we then got into this heated argument because I was telling him how racist and triggering it is for black people, because we grow up in this society and we already know that it's okay to be white, but for some reason...
So that's not a good counter argument. The reason that it's a dumb sign is because white people aren't being targeted disproportionately. Like, that's just not happening. There's no systemic racism against white people. It just doesn't exist. Not to mention the fact that like nobody is saying it's not okay to be white. So way better argument than whatever the fuck he's saying.
Because we're black, it's automatically not okay, and we're having to live this oppressive life. But that's when he said that's exactly what they want us to think. They're wanting to divide us. They're
who is they? The fucking Jews? Like, what are you talking about?
Wanting to stir up this reaction out of you. They're wanting to control your emotion. And it was at that moment...
That's literally what the Conservative Party does all the time. The party that you're in support of, all they do is fearmonger over dumb shit. It doesn't matter.
That I realized that he had a point, because I wasn't in control of my emotions. My entire life I hadn't been.
Okay. Affirmative action is racism? No, not necessarily. I'd say that there are better ways of doing it than what was done previously, but I'd say it was like a net positive in general. The reason being that it counteracts previous racist policies that have created a huge generational wealth gap between races, right? However, I would be in favor of viewing it from like a more economic standpoint. I think that there should be affirmative action specifically for people that are lower class. For example, I don't think that a rich black person is going to be more disadvantaged than a poor white person. I believe that affirmative action should apply more to the poor person than the rich person, regardless of their race, right? Or like a poor white person that makes the same amount of money as a poor black person. I would generally be in favor of them having like the same amount of affirmative action, right? I think that because poor people are going to be at the biggest disadvantage. And keep in mind, this also would solve the issue of the generational wealth gap to an extent. And the reason for that is because black people are disproportionately poor as a result of this. So it would kill two birds with one stone. It is the most efficient policy and the most long-term solution to multiple problems, right? So that's what I'm in favor of, right? Is viewing it through the lens of class rather than the lens of race.
My entire life, I viewed myself as a victim. My entire life, I saw myself as, yep, because of what Twitter is saying, CNN is saying.
You're talking like you're not a white person? What? What is a white person supposed to sound like? What? Okay.
MSNBC, being black, I am a victim. Being gay, I'm a victim. I gave agency to my...
Well, I mean, yeah, sometimes you might be. I don't know you personally.
My entire life and my emotions.
You're a racist turd. Why? Because I view things through the lens of class? Okay. Sure. Dude, racism is when you want to redistribute wealth from the rich to the poor, which would disproportionately benefit black people who are experiencing the negative consequences of a generational wealth gap caused by racist policies of the past, such as redlining. Yeah, that's... Okay, yeah, apparently it's very racist of me to have the position that we should do what actually disproportionately benefits this group of people.
Over to mainstream media. So we end that conversation with him recommending me to just check out all sides of the media.
Name one racist policy: redlining. That's what I literally just mentioned. Redlining has downstream effects that still affect things today. Right? That's why there's a generational wealth gap. It's not just like a coincidence. There's no black gene in black people's DNA that makes them worse at making money. That's not how that works, right? Not to mention the fact that, again, like I said, black people will get harsher sentences for committing the same crimes in the same way as white people on average, right? So there are obviously systemic biases at play. Let's not pretend like there isn't.
Because he just wanted me to just be aware at least of what the other side is saying and doing. Because at the time I hadn't been. At the time when I say like I was on the left, I only took in left-leaning news. I didn't even look at the right. Because why should?
Okay, but I look at what a bunch of people have to say, and I've come to leftist conclusions. It sounds like a skill issue on your end.
Why would I? Growing up, all I was told that the Republicans are racist and the Republicans are homophobic. Well, being black and gay, why would I ever give them the light of day? Never thought.
See, but like you don't base that opinion off of what people tell you. You look at their behavior and analyze it for yourself, and you will start to see. And you have to look at it carefully, to be fair. But if you pay attention to what they're doing, and you pay attention to not just, leftist talking points, but like where do these talking points come from? Like when somebody says that this person is transphobic, right? Where are they getting this from, right? But you can find answers, right? So for instance, if I say that Trump is transphobic, which he is, right, I can point to things like the ban, like banning trans people from the military, right? Why are you discriminating against this group of people? Or his proposal to specifically take gun rights away from trans people, not take away gun rights broadly, just specifically from trans people. Why specifically target trans people and say that trans people shouldn't have access to guns? Why should we be robbed of the Second Amendment, right? So there are things that I can point to like that to justify why I would use that label, right? So again, I don't agree with the notion that you should just believe that somebody is something because people say it. I think you should look into it. But once you look into it, you should be willing to use those labels. So be careful.
About it, never did, but he told me to. I liked the guy, and I was like, you know what? Fine, I am in my feelings. I am all emotional and riled up. I trust you, so I'll take a look at it. And that's exactly
wow, I trust you.
What I did. How can I pursue the truth for myself? It was at this point, right after that date, I left the left. And by saying I left the left, I mean,
so basically he had some like really good sex. Okay. He got his fucking back blown out like crazy. And then he changed his worldview because he got some of the best dick and he was going for round 2.
That I left this idea that I had to stay over there and not venture out. That I was calling myself a liberal just for the sake of calling myself a liberal. That I was.
Dude, it's okay to be apolitical. You don't have to. Like if you don't know anything about politics, you can just say that. Like that's like fine. You don't have to LARP. You can just say, yeah, I don't care about politics. I don't know anything about it. It's not something I'm good at understanding. You can do that. That's like an option, You know?
Calling myself a Democrat because I was black and I was gay and that I just had to be one.
No, that's you can just not talk about politics or have a strong position. Like that's the intellectually honest thing to do. If you don't know shit about politics, just don't have a strong position on it. That's fine. That's like a normal response, is to say, I don't know anything about this issue. I don't know anything about Israel or Palestine. I don't have a position because I don't know anything about it and I'm uneducated. That is the intellectually honest thing to do, right? If you don't know shit, then that's fine.
Left all of that. I gave myself the opportunity to be open and express myself in different ways and really try out new things. If there's one thing I learned while venturing from the left, the right, and everywhere in between, it's that mainstream media makes it really hard to understand what is true and what is not. That is why.
Yeah, to an extent. Yeah, I do recommend doing your own research, right? That's something I'm a huge proponent of.
Over 300,000 Americans get their news from today's sponsor, Upward News. It's
okay. Well, that's a horrible jump ahead. Yes, thank you, YouTube Premium, saving my life. Fucking hell.
It's politics, culture, and everywhere in between. One of the first videos that he recommended that I watch is a Steven Crowder Changed My Mind series. Absolutely.
Steven Crowder, really? This is like the bottom of the barrel. Ooh. Steven Crowder. Yikes. It's always going back to trans people as well. I wonder why.
Incredible. Started diving deep into other topics and videos, and I stumbled across Dave.
Diving deep. Steven Crowder doesn't dive deep. He has one of like the most surface level abilities to talk about shit. Like he dodged a debate with Sam Cedar for that reason. Because he's retarded and he doesn't know what he's talking about. He just says words loudly. He just says his wrong opinions in like the most loud, annoying way possible. That's all he does. And he always finds a way to cross-dress while doing so, for some reason. Very strange, I gotta say.
Ruben and Larry Elder's video, it's so crazy because I know both of them now. Their video talking about the black community, and that was...
Like, I'm sorry, but it just sounds like he believes anything that's said as long as it's said loudly and confidently. Like, that's just what it sounds like.
Extremely eye-opening at the time. And then there's two people that really shook up my world, and that is Candace Owens and Brandon Tatum. Regarding Candace...
Yeah, some of like the most dumb people on the face of the earth. Well, no, okay, Candace Owens isn't dumb. She's like a lying piece of shit grifter, but you know.
Owens, there was this
in terms of what she says, it's pretty dumb.
Video of her that was going viral at a college campus talking to students about black on black crime. And she said something that really pissed me off. She said that you're more likely to be struck by lightning as an unarmed black man than get shot by the cop. I looked up the data for myself and she was right. There's more people who get...
Damn, that's crazy. That doesn't magically negate the, you know, systemic racism that exists. Also, systemic racism isn't just getting shot by cops. It's not like the only form, right? So like I mentioned before, you know, earlier on in the stream, I brought up the example of black people on average getting harsher sentences for the same crimes as white people, right? Like, how do you explain that? Well, Candace Owens can't explain it because there is no explanation other than, yeah, systemic racism exists, right? So they won't talk about that. Why? Well, because it sort of proves them wrong, right? They'll just be like, well, it's not likely that you'll get shot. Ah, yeah, the only form of systemic racism is getting fucking shot. Very true.
Struck by lightning.
I guess Charlie Kirk was a huge victim of systemic racism then.
And black unarmed men get shot by the police. Y'all, so I'm sitting here editing this video and I figured I'd go in and get the most recent numbers for the year.
Right. And yeah, I'm obviously being facetious when I say that, mind you, but keep in mind, like the reason I make that joke is because it's not just like a matter of whether or not you get shot. That's just a very, very surface level way of viewing this. It's not whether or not you get shot that determines if systemic racism is real, right? There's more to it than that, right? That can be a data point. That can be a single data point.
In 2022, there have been 12 unarmed black people shot and killed by the police. 12.
How many white people?
And if we look at the National Weather Service, there have been 19 people.
Okay, wait. How many white people have been? How many unarmed white people have been shot? Why won't you compare it and show that it's like the same, like per capita? Like, surely you'd be able to show that it's the same per capita, right? Right?
Struck by lightning and died in 2022. There is legitimately more people getting struck by lightning.
Dude, you're not even going to compare it like on a per capita basis? I would hope that you would at least have the... No? Why? I'm guessing it makes you look bad.
And dying, then black people are being shot and killed by the police. Spare me.
Okay, why are you comparing it to lightning strikes instead of comparing it to white people per capita in terms of how frequently they get shot? I feel like there's got to be a reason for that. And again, the argument that I would make is not like how often do people get shot, or there's more to systemic racism than how often does X group of people get shot.
Blows my mind. Because I was one of these people that genuinely and honestly thought thousands of young black men unarmed were being shot.
No, you didn't believe anything. You just like LARPed as like a liberal because you sort of liked the aesthetic of it. But then you just like changed aesthetics for this gay guy that gave you some real good dick.
Killed by the police. But no. After watching a few Candace Owens videos, that's when I stumbled across... When I actually watched a few Candace Owens videos, like that's all it took. Just like 3 Candace Owens videos, and that like changed your entire political worldview. Like you didn't believe anything before, if that's the case. 3 videos, really? It took you 3 videos to completely 180 your perspective. I don't believe that. I think you might be lying, if anything. Brandon Tatum. Specifically, he had this video talking about white privilege. That's the one that really stuck with me, and I just dove deep into the rest of his content. So much.
Look, I don't like the rhetoric of white privilege. I think it's just like a rhetorically ineffective way of describing disprivilege that other people have. When people hear about white privilege, they immediately think that like, oh, well, are you saying that like this privilege needs to be taken away and equally distributed? People immediately view it as like an attack, and it's just not the case, right? It's not to say that you don't deserve this privilege. It's that everyone deserves this privilege, right? Other people are underprivileged and they should have the same privileges as you, right? That's the way that it should be framed rhetorically, but it's not, which is very sad because it pushes people away from the left.
So that I reached out to him on Instagram and I sent him a DM and just said, hey, thank you for being such a guiding figure right now. I'm currently figuring everything out, kind of lost, but thank you in your content for being there. And he responded. He said, hey, let's chat one day. I'd love to help you out. Anything you need. Blew my mind. So we have a conversation on the phone. I'll never forget this phone call ever. But at the end of that phone call, he then invited me out to the Young Black Leadership Summit that him, Candace Owens, and Turning Point USA was throwing at the White House.
Wait, I thought you guys were against identity politics.
Is Trump as bad as people say he is? So I arrived.
Yes, absolutely. If you actually look at his policies, yeah, he fucking is. Or if you take a look at things like January 6th, the whole trying to do an insurrection thing, the whole storming the Capitol. Yeah, that's pretty fucking bad. So, yeah.
At the Young Black Leadership Summit, and let me tell you, this was the blackest event I've ever gone to. There were 200 to 300 young black people from the ages of...
Whoa, let's see here. Is that Charlie Kirk? Wait.
Blackest event I've ever gone to. There were 200 to 300 young...
The blackest event with Charlie Kirk in the center. Very black, indeed. Yeah, Charlie Kirk is my favorite black Hebrew Israelite.
Black people from the ages of like 18 to 30 in DC going to the White House. Like when we were at the hotel, everyone's in their do-rags and bonnets and playing spades and everyone brought PS4s. It was just crazy.
Yeah, we get it. Yep, your demographic was being appealed to. Yeah, that is how politics works sometimes.
Never seen anything like it, especially people who are all Republicans. And I was just like, what am I even doing here? What?
Yeah, I'm sure that they have like a liberal equivalent. It wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, events do that.
Is going on. So the next day we wake up and we're going to...
Wow, it's almost like they're trying to appeal to a voter base or something. Whoa.
The White House.
That must mean that they really care about black people because they want their vote. No, that's not how that works.
So we get to the White House and we go through all of the security checkpoints. We end up in I believe it was the East Room. Front row waiting for him to come out, and he comes out. Crowd erupts.
Yeah, whoa, did you know that right-wingers support the right-wing person? Yeah, no shit. Yeah, that the same thing would happen if it was Kamala Harris in office. Yeah, there'd be people cheering for her as well. Same thing happened with Barack Obama. Yeah, people that agree with the right-wing policies of Trump. Well, really, they don't really care about policies, but you get the point. People that, whoa, the Trump supporters were cheering for Trump? Oh my God, I'm convinced. I better support Trump now. Like, it's all just like being a part of like a social club for these people. It's so pathetic.
They all go crazy. It's insane. And he gives a speech. So at this point, the speech ends. He walks down to the rope and he's saying goodbye to everybody and shaking people's hands. And he comes up to me. I shake his hand. I said, thank you for having us. He said, thank you for being here. And he went on to the
literally all just like a social/aesthetic thing for this person.
next person. And I just stood there in just amazement about how naive
this political climate is a result of our diminishing education system. Yeah, there's a reason that right-wingers, specifically right-wing politicians, mind you, have a tendency to attack education first and foremost. Why do they not want kids to learn that gay and trans people exist? Well, the reason is because it makes it a lot easier to eradicate us if the next generation doesn't even know we exist. So, yeah.
Even a year ago, I was marching with BLM and now I'm shaking Donald Trump's hand. What is life? And it was so shocking and amazing. I want to share it online.
Shocking and amazing. See, this is what I mean when I say like all of this is vibes based. He doesn't actually like present us with like, oh, here are like the policy positions that I agree with from Trump, and like here's like the why Biden or Kamala would have been worse, right? He doesn't do that, and there's a reason for that, right? Because it's all vibes based politics. It's like, oh my God, and then I got to be a part of this cool social club, this cool exclusive social club, and everyone was so welcoming to me there, and it felt so good, right? Well, that doesn't magically make Trump any less bad. Like, yeah, obviously they're gonna want to make their voter base like feel welcomed to vote for them because that's like in their own self-best interest. Yeah, you're gonna want to motivate people to vote for you. No shit.
So after the event, we all go back to the hotel. We eat and kicking it, whatever. And the media is having a...
What do you mean these people? I mean conservatives. People like this guy who are conservative.
Meltdown. I'm seeing people cut up the clips of the speech, people lying about him.
Really? What did they lie about? What specifically? They cut that word I'm not going to say. A check. Folks react after young black conservatives pile on the praise for Trump. Okay, what is this? Live from Sunken Place, Trump attends MAGA cap wearing young black leadership. What is the misinformation here? This is literally what you described. But okay.
That weekend, Al Sharpton was lying about us.
Because it was not a summit, it was a Make America Great rally. They used some young blacks as props, which really...
Yeah, that's factually correct. Yeah, that's what it is. That is how politics works. That, yep.
Is an insult to them.
It was crazy because all I saw was Trump talking about fake news, but it was real. It was that was the first moment in my life where I was a part of fake news.
What was the fake news? Like, just because you're too stupid to see that you're a part of the group of people that's being used for optics reasons and to get your vote doesn't automatically mean that that's not the case. You just don't view it that way. Doesn't mean it's fake news just because somebody shared an opinion you disagree with. That's not what fake news means.
Al Sharpton, someone I used to look up to regarding black issues, I always saw him on TV, is lying about me. It's personal.
No, he's not lying about you. He has like an opinion on like, yeah, I think that like Trump is like using this for optics reasons. I don't think he actually cares about this part of his constituency, which is true. He doesn't care at all. But you feel personally attacked because that means that would mean that you are being used. And that couldn't possibly be the case because I felt like I was a part of the in-group. I was a part of the cool social club where everyone was super welcoming. And he doesn't want that to be taken away from him. That's why he's thinking this way.
Now, I'm like, oh, maybe there is fake news. Maybe we are being lied about. What else is out there? What is going on? Not to mention...
Or maybe you were being lied to by the people you felt accepted by. Ever considered that? Just saying.
I didn't tell anyone I was going to the White House. I just went. I told my boyfriend. I told obviously my job knew, roommates knew, but I didn't tell a lot of my friends. I didn't tell a lot of family. I just went. So I posted about it online and I said, wow, this is crazy. Being invited to the White House, met Donald Trump. This is insane.
Yeah, do you think that Trump is doing that out of the kindness of his own heart? Or do you think he's doing it because there's some strategic reason for him to? Like, what do you think a campaign is? He's not doing it out of the goodness of his heart. Like, come on, let's be so fucking for real.
This day, there are friends and family members that I have not spoken to since October 27th of 2018 because I met Donald Trump. Insanity. Pure insanity. Mind you,
like your political positions shouldn't change based on whether or not you meet somebody and it feels cool because like they're like a famous / important person. This shouldn't be what determines your positions and stuff. You should have actual moral principles that guide you to conclusions. Like...
again, I've been exposing myself to different views the entire year.
No, you didn't expose yourself to any views. You're just like all vibes based. What views have you described that you like weren't aware of before? Like, you didn't expose yourself to any new views. You just exposed yourself to a different social group. And you're like, I like the vibes of this social group more than the other one. It's like, yeah, that's great. But like, what does that have to do with the correctness of a political position? Like, yeah, you like the vibes. What else? What else is new?
BLM rallies. I met Van Jones from CNN. And it all crickets. But the second I go see Trump, now all of a sudden I'm losing friends and family. Now all of a sudden I'm getting canceled and everything's wrong.
Who is canceling you? Dog, you're just like a conservative influencer that says right-wing talking points for a living. You make money doing this. You're not a fucking victim. You get paid to do this.
And I'm seeing fake news on the media. I was completely over it at that point, and since then I have been on this mission to...
So since basically you learned nothing about politics, you just, changed your vibes a little bit, and you're like, actually, I vibe with this group more. You've 180'd. Fucking pathetic.
Find the truth for myself. I'm not aligning or subscribing myself to being a Democrat or a Republican. No, I'm those...
This is another example of what I mean when I say that, like, a lot of times people will label themselves as something or be like, oh, I don't label myself a certain way, but they like agree with like everything like a right-winger would say, essentially, for the most part, aside from like maybe some like far-right positions or ones that like don't align with their own self-best interests, but
putting on values, and that's what I care about the most. Yes, I ventured over to the right and I have a lot of right-leaning friends, and even Blair White talks about this, but I've been on a lot.
See, again, it's all just like a social thing for this guy. Like, he doesn't actually believe anything. He doesn't use logic or reasoning to make these determinations. It's just like well, I became more friends with I get right-wing friends now, and and I became a part of that group instead, and that's why I believe this other thing. And I guess like anyone that says that STUM is just spreading fake news. Like, okay.
A lot of these right-leaning organizations, I've been on The Blaze, Daily Wire, PragerU, Turning Point USA, but they...
Yeah, because you're a useful idiot for them. Either that, or you know what makes you money. Either you're a useful idiot, or you're a grifter and you're smart, and you play dumb. Either way, you're not doing yourself any favors, aside from maybe financially.
Invite me. They want to talk to me. No leftist organizations do that, because far too often...
Okay, well, I'm not an organization, but I'm willing to talk to you. I'm willing to debate you, but you're not going to do it, are you? Why? Because, because I'm a big scary leftist, of course. And, right-wingers are just afraid of the truth, I guess. I see how you can do it in both directions.
Often they keep trying to...
I don't think he's rage baiting.
Shut out and cancel people instead of having an actual conversation. Throughout that year of exploring...
Buddy, nobody is trying to cancel you.
Different ideas, and even from the White House to now, it is evident that the woke ideology is very destructive. Why are so many people scared to just share their opinion?
You say it into a fucking megaphone? Why are so many people scared to share their mainstream conservative talking points that all the conservatives have been screaming at the top of their lungs into a megaphone about for years? Well, I don't think people are scared to do that. I think you're just like full of shit. Right? Like people like me or Hassan Piker are going to have like way more controversial takes. We're going to be like way edgier in terms of what we actually believe. Now, granted, I present it in a way that's also edgier, right? He's like a lot more squeaky clean about it for the most part. Well, I don't know if I'd say squeaky clean. He has pretty bad optics a lot of the time, but whereas I come across more as like an edgy shit poster. But,
want equality and acceptance, but you won't even listen to someone who's super close to you and the opinion that they share. And everything's so dramatic. It's like, wow, because someone doesn't want
dramatic. Wow. I wonder who that
queens to frolic in front of second graders, and now they're homophobic.
What? Like, what is wrong with this? Like, they're fully clothed. What's the issue here? Like, they're wearing, like, as long as they're like adhering to like the school dress code of how much skin you have to cover, like, I don't see what the issue is. Just as long as they're following the dress code, like, who fucking cares? Like, what's the issue?
Phobic all of a sudden because I don't like pronouns that make me some hard ass Republican.
What do you mean you don't like pronouns? You used a pronoun in that sentence. Fucking idiot. I don't like pronouns. Well then, why did you use one in the first word of the sentence? Like, hello?
Make it make sense. We say the right is racist and divisive, but I'm saying...
Gee golly, I wonder why.
Don Lemon saying white men are the problem and Maxine White...
Oh, but like, what about like this like one guy who said that white men are... like, what about like one guy that said like the bad thing?
The right is racist and divisive, but I'm saying Don Lemon saying...
Doubles down after saying white men are the biggest terror threat in this country. Okay, what's the context? He's probably responding to something. He's probably saying like, I don't know why people are blaming Arabs when white men are way more likely to do such and such that threatens the country. Right? That's probably the argument he was making. But yeah, go on. Use this single, totally not out of context example.
White men are the problem, and Maxine Waters is telling people to go in front of people's faces and be more violent.
What, huh? More violent? That's not what the headline says. Waters, I don't even know who that is, calls for protesters to get more confrontational. Well, confrontational doesn't mean violent. Could be like a little bit, maybe aggressive at most. Like, yeah, I'm going to be more confrontational and aggressive with my rhetoric. If no guilty verdict is reached in the Derek Chauvin trial, yeah, I think that's reasonable. Yeah, I think that like if you murder like an innocent person as a cop, like, yeah, you probably should be deemed guilty for doing that. Yeah. Yeah, you should totally talk to him live. This feels one-sided. I'd be down. I don't think he would want to, but, like he's got like a way larger platform than me, and good chance I'm a better debater than he is, so there's nothing in it for him, but I'd be more than willing, because there's everything in it for me, so.
We're screaming and crying and saying, oh my gosh, Trump wants to build a border wall that's so racist, but these politicians live behind borders. Hell, half of us in a...
Reach out? I mean, I guess. I don't know. I've reached out to... Here's the thing is, every time I reach out, I get no response. I just get fucking ghosted. It's like so annoying. Like I'll leave a comment and someone will be like, yeah, I'll do it. And I'll be like, great, what's your Discord? And then they don't respond. And then they just kind of ghost me. Like there was like this one detransitioner who's like anti-trans, that I was gonna debate. And like I left a comment being like, hey, by the way, I want to debate you. And they were like, oh, cool. Reach out to me on Twitter. And I'm like, okay. And then I DM'd him and he ignored me. And it's like, well, are you going to debate me or not? Like, I don't know, dude. What's their name? I think it's like Ray Alex Williams or some shit, if I'm not mistaken. Like I left a comment on a video requesting debate. They agreed. Told me where to contact them. I contacted them and they just ignored me. So, no, it was not Buck Angel.
Apartment complexes or gated communities are behind a border wall. At that, everyone all of a sudden became a finance major. Oh my gosh, $5 billion for a border wall is expensive. $5 billion here, $5 billion there.
Yeah, it is a fucking waste of money. Yeah, what about it? You don't have to be a financial expert to know that. You know?
Do you realize that the SoFi Stadium that was just built in Los Angeles is $5.5 billion? So $5.5 billion for a border wall is too expensive, but it's okay to just build a stadium?
I feel like the stadium is more useful than the border wall, yeah.
I'm not saying our government is the one that made the stadium, but just to give...
Okay, well then there you go. Well, there's your answer. That the stadium was built by big private corporations, not our tax dollars. You think there might be a difference between something being built from money that's held by a private corpo rather than our tax money? Do you think maybe there's like a little bit of a discrepancy there? Just saying. Yeah, the wall is much bigger and more expensive than a stadium. Yeah, that's for sure.
Perspective on what $5 billion is. We throw it around all the time. It's around us everywhere. We're saying that we stand...
Yeah, it's actually awesome when the government does nothing but, constant deficit spending and, putting us more in debt. This is something that the Republicans and the Democrats do, by the way. So yes, let's maximize our deficit spending. At least Democrats are, like, intelligent enough to be like, okay, but, like, we'll also increase taxes on the rich to an extent, which will make the deficit spending less bad, but,
And for truth, but everyone's getting shut down.
Dude, you're not being shut down. You have, like, a way larger audience than me. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you have 683,000 subscribers. This video has almost 1 million views. Nobody is shutting you down. Fucking idiot.
If an idea is stupid and you don't like what someone is saying, challenge them.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing, but I don't know, for whatever reason, whenever I challenge somebody with more clout than me to a debate, they ignore me.
Prove them wrong. Teach them.
Yeah, I think I thoroughly proved you wrong throughout the duration of this segment. I don't really think I can teach you because you probably don't know I exist, but one day.
The beautiful thing about being ignorant is the lack of knowledge. You get the opportunity.
Okay, yeah, sure. I wouldn't say being ignorant is like a beautiful thing, but yeah, sure. Yeah, I'd say it's good to be open-minded. I don't know if this guy is, because like, his whole livelihood depends on saying right-wing talking points. I think if he were to, do a political shift, he would have the Hunter Avalon effect, where people would accuse him of grifting, but in reality, he would just be honestly changing his position and would suffer as a consequence, essentially. Because there's more money in being a right-wing grifter than a left-wing grifter, quote unquote. Anyways, I not gonna read that message, but thank you for the 5. That's a crazy thing to say. We gotta disavow that, right? It's not a very nice thing to say. Yeah, anyways.
Opportunity to learn something new or teach someone something new. Either way, you win. Just learn, just talk. But this idea that everyone has to be so pent up, everyone's gonna get canceled, everyone has an opinion, and just...
You're against cancel culture? Really? What's your opinion on the Charlie Kirk thing and like people making edgy jokes about it? Or are you in favor of like advocating in favor of people losing their jobs because, oh no, you made an edgy joke, you're not allowed to do that? Biggest debunking the biggest lie told about Charlie Kirk. Dude, that's 55 minutes. Fuck no. Okay. Well, he didn't talk about Charlie Kirk other than that. What's the biggest lie told about Charlie Kirk?
The purpose of this video is to serve as a tool to combat all the lies and misinformation that is commonly being spread right now about Charlie Kirk. And it's ironic because someone like Charlie Kirk is oftentimes called
I don't think I want to watch all 55 minutes of this shit, but sure, I'll give it a chance.
Racist and homophobic, yet he's one of the main reasons this YouTube channel that you're watching right now even exists in the first place. He knew the...
Why does he talk like that? What do you... Because he's gay, it's fine. Some people have to sound flamboyant. It's not a big deal. Sometimes people have different ways of speaking. There's nothing wrong with that.
Young, gay...
This guy, like, I mean, he sucks, but like... You know, let's be reasonable here.
Black Amir.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. I mean, we could make fun of his, but like, I don't know. I'm not gonna make fun of him for like talking different or whatever.
In 2018, and strongly advocated him to be more vocal online and spread his thoughts and to always seek the truth. Not even one day.
Okay, but Charlie Kirk doesn't seek the truth. It's just like not true.
After the event, it was one day, the night of the first event I ever gone to in 2018, where I met Charlie Kirk for the first time.
Dude, it's all about like, here's my anecdotal experiences with this person. It's like, yeah, that's great. Yeah, you did in fact meet the public persona that they put on 24/7. Yeah, that is true.
Started being vocal online, and here we are today. And to this day, I still have one of the hats he even gave me. So I feel like
wow, that's awesome.
This video is necessary because that's all Charlie ever did and pushed me to do and push everyone to do is to seek out the truth. So I want to put the truth in his words in a very articulate manner. You can go through
the truth in his words, but he's not like a truth seeker. It's just like a lie. Like he was somebody that, you know, said right-wing talking points for money and was like the #1 Israel shill. So you're just like wrong about that.
This video, chapter by chapter.
Like, I'm sorry, but like, while it is true that, you know, he did take a bullet up the neck, right? Like, he took a bullet up the neck. The only thing that he took harder than the bullet up the neck was Zionist dick up the ass, all right? And, yeah, he, let's just say he defended the IDF doing a genocide, so, yeah.
Chapter, and it hits a lot of different marks and you know, topics and things that are currently being said about Charlie Kirk. And you know, me and Charlie, we've had our disagreements, and that's all they ever were. We're just disagreements because you're allowed to disagree with somebody.
Yeah, that's true.
Allowed not to agree 100% with somebody that you're talking to or you're an associate with. And if someone sent you this video and you're new to me, you have no idea who.
Yeah, but I think being an advisor for you know, a rapist pedophile like Trump is like probably gonna make you a bad person, right? I feel like that's like enough to say, yeah, like morally you're a bad person, right? It's not just like a disagreement, like it is a dishonest mechanism for making money as well as you know, getting a bad person elected.
Who I am, you have no idea, or you've just only heard.
Charlie Kirk's last breaths were dedicated to lying about trans and black people. This is true.
Things about Charlie Kirk, I really do.
Being disrespectful about a man that just died is disgusting. Look, I'm sorry, but like, if you think I like suddenly change my stance on somebody after they die so that I can virtue signal, this is like the wrong channel for you. Instead of changing my position to like virtue signal and LARP or whatever, when somebody dies, I retain the position that I always had on them and operate accordingly. Like, I don't know why I would change my position now. Like, he doesn't suddenly become less incorrect or less dishonest now that he's dead. I mean, well, he's not going to be incorrect or dishonest anymore, but like, it doesn't retroactively, you know, change his behavior, right? It doesn't retroactively change anything, right?
I hope that throughout this video, you are listening to understand rather than listening to respond. At least for this video, just listening to understand why so many people loved Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, I'll try to understand, but I'm also going to respond if you say wrong stuff. But
they say he's racist, but why are so many black people upset that Charlie Kirk has passed? They say
because they're wrong. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, people are wrong about stuff. How many trans people though are sad about Charlie Kirk dying? Because he targeted us a lot more than he targeted black people. But you know,
he's homophobic, but why are so many gay people upset that Charlie?
What about transphobic? Are you going to talk about the transphobia, like one of the main things he was known for?
Kirk passed. They say he's misogynistic. Well, why are so many women?
Oh my god, dude, he's avoiding everything except for he's talking about everything except for the transphobia so far. Misogynistic? Well, maybe because he said that if he, if his own daughter got raped, he would force her to carry the pregnancy to term. Like, forcing your own daughter to have like a rape baby? Yeah, that's pretty fucking bad. That's pretty bad.
Sad that Charlie Kirk has passed. They say he's transphobic. Why are there
Oh, there we go.
even trans people sad that Charlie Kirk has passed? They say
Like who? Blair White? Like, who aside from Blair White is like genuinely upset that Charlie Kirk is dead? Right? I don't mean that like all other trans people are like, yay, I'm so glad that he's dead now, right? But I don't think that like there's like a bunch of trans people that are like super upset either. I think it's just like a bunch of people like me that are like, well, that sucks, so well, I'm just gonna move on with my life. Like, this guy sucked anyway. Like, I'm not gonna be sad about it. Like, you cannot be in favor of something while also being like, yeah, but he also sucked, so I'm not like sad. You know? I'm not gonna fucking miss him. Right? Like, can I be like, yeah, it's like wrong that it happened or whatever, but like also I'm not like sad about it because like he was like a bad person and I don't feel bad for him. I feel bad I'm sad for the kids. Really. The kids are like the main victim in all of this. But you know.
he's a white nationalist. Well, why are so many black, Hispanics, Asians?
His children watched and ran to him when he was shot. He is human, he is life, have empathy or sympathy, sorry. Look, I'm gonna say that like in terms of sympathy, like Charlie Kirk wouldn't have sympathy if a trans person were to die. I will no longer support Femi. I wish you well, but you people are the problem. To be so callous and desensitized shows the issues of the world. Thanks for the entertaining nights. Limer, this is like such a bad take, and I'll tell you why, alright? Like, I'm sorry, but like, I'm not gonna be sad anytime somebody dies, right? Like, was Charlie Kirk my friend? No. Was he a good person? No. Did he advocate against my right to exist? Yes, absolutely. Why would I be sad about him not existing anymore? Right? That's not to say that like him being shot was good, right? Obviously, that's not what I'm saying. Right? But it's like very difficult for me to feel bad for him specifically when he was actively a pretty malicious actor who's not a good person. And him being dead doesn't change that. He doesn't suddenly become a good person now that he's dead. Right? The same way that I apply this standard universally. Right? Like, I don't feel sad when like some celebrity I don't know even exists dies. Like, I'm like, oh, okay, that sucks. And I move on. Right? But the difference is people don't fucking virtue signal when I like don't care because it wasn't somebody that I cared about to begin with. So like, why would I care now that they're dead? I think a much larger issue is people that virtue signal when somebody is dead and pretend like, oh yeah, I was like a huge fan of Technoblade before he died, and it's like they never watched a single Technoblade video ever. I think that those people are more of an issue than like people like me that are just like honest and like will just say straight up like, yeah, I just like didn't care about this person. Yeah, this person, or even, heaven forbid, that yeah, this person kind of sucked. Like, I don't care. Like, it's not good that it happened, but like, I don't feel bad. I didn't say be sad. I said respect. Well, I have no respect for Charlie Kirk before he's dead. Why would I respect him now? I don't change my level of respect retroactively. That's not how that works. He had no respect for trans people. He had no respect for women's bodily autonomy. Why would I have respect for him? He literally thinks that people like me should be forced to detransition. Why would I respect him? He's in favor of worsening our lives. So why would I be respectful towards one of the most reprehensible people? Maybe not one of the most, but he's pretty reprehensible. But that's the thing, is I'm not saying that he deserved that. That's not what I'm saying. Respect means not trying to smolder his name. And not saying and react to things by saying he took dick blah 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 harder than the bullet. Yeah, it's called being an edgy comedian. That's called saying things that are edgy and funny. Like, yeah, he did take his Zionist stick up the ass pretty hard. That's something I would have said before he was dead. Like, his kids will see all of these? What? I'm sorry, but like the kids still have a mom who should probably not let their kids watch my content. I'm sorry. No one should die for what they believe in. Did I say that he should die? Or did I say I just don't care? Like, those are very different statements. Like, I just don't feel bad for him specifically. This generation is truly fucked. If someone can just be so callous and disrespectful. He has a wife and children that are dealing with this. Yeah, everyone has a family. Yeah, Hitler also had a family. What's your point? Doesn't mean that I'm going to feel bad for Hitler specifically. Not time to be funny. Well, sorry that you're on the wrong show. You don't have anything nice to say. Don't say anything at all. Yeah, but if it's like a right-winger who's like against me having basic human rights, I'm probably going to say bad things about them. Like, okay, Limer, I don't understand this. Like, you had no issues all the times I made George Floyd jokes. You were perfectly fine with me saying shit like, oh yeah, I'm doing fentanyl. I'm George Floyd maxing. Yeah, who had the stronger neck, George Floyd or Charlie Kirk? See, that shit's funny. But Limer, it seems like you have an inconsistent standard here. You were fine with all the George Floyd jokes. George Floyd is a drug addict. He was a better person than Charlie Kirk. Because at least he didn't advocate against my right to exist. At least he didn't help a pedophile or rapist get into office. But you think being a drug addict is worse than using your public platform to sway people against trans people having basic human rights? And to help a pedophile or rapist get elected? You think that makes you a better person than being a drug addict? Are you kidding? Charlie Kirk believed he was doing the right thing. I don't think he did. Even if he did, he was wrong. Just like everyone else thinks they're doing the right thing. Okay, so George Floyd thought he was doing the right thing as well. Okay. So why is it okay to make George Floyd jokes and not Charlie Kirk jokes? Just saying. Neither were just? No, but you have an inconsistent standard. Nobody is saying that either of them are just, okay? But what I am saying is that you have no problem with the George Floyd jokes that I've made. Many times. But as soon as I make a joke about Charlie Kirk, now suddenly, oh no, big fucking deal, huge issue. It seems like you might be a little bit biased. He just passed away. Yeah, and it's callous and ridiculous. Why would I feel anything for Charlie Kirk? I don't care if it's recent or not. I don't know him personally. And he's like a bad person. He's somebody that I looked down upon. He's somebody that I always thought was like pathetic and disgusting. That doesn't change after he's dead. I still think he's pathetic and disgusting. Undo the blue name if you'd like. All right. Will do. Your wishes. Your wish is my... Wait, your wish is... What did Darth... I don't know. As you wish. There you go. Remove standard moderator. All right, you can ask for it back if you want, but you said you don't want it anymore, and that's fine. I'm a conservative Christian who has an open mind. Yeah. Charlie Kirk didn't have an open mind when it came to trans issues. He had a very closed mind. Right? He was killed for his opinion by people who are exactly like every other lib. But what people killed him? There was one shooter. It's not the entire Democratic Party shooting him. It was one guy. But okay. It doesn't matter what his opinions were. What if he believed that it was that the Holocaust was justified? Would it be okay to kill him then? Like, let's say he helped a Nazi get into office. Where do you draw the line? Like, when do you, like, say, okay, enough is enough. We shouldn't, like, do civility politics bullshit anymore. It's never justified to kill someone. Okay, so if you can kill Hitler to stop the Holocaust, it would be unjustified? Do you think it's justified to kill someone? If it leads to the better outcome, yeah. Yeah, so, like, killing Hitler to stop the Holocaust, I would absolutely do. Because one person dying, Hitler, is way better than 6 million Jews dying and then, like, a bunch of other people dying, too. I thought the right with the party of kill your local pedophile. Yeah, which I mean, I'm in favor of. Yeah, I mean, Trump is, in fact, a pedophile. And, yeah, I just apply that standard broadly. But, you know? That's moral as fuck. Yeah, I am very moral. I'm morally correct. What happened to morals, values, and ethics? What are you talking about? I'm still a utilitarian. It like a value is me saying, yeah, the 6 million Jews that died in the Holocaust are worth more moral consideration than Hitler. So if I can kill Hitler to save all 6 million Jews, then I'm going to do that. Because the 6 million Jews are worth more moral consideration. So that's like an instance in which killing is justified. Or like in the case of self-defense, obviously killing is justified. Right? Yes, I do believe things that are correct. Why wouldn't I be? Like, what do you mean you're proud of being a utilitarian? Yeah, I believe things that are correct. I believe whatever is the most logical. Like, it's not like a secret that I'm a utilitarian. Like, you know this. You've watched enough of my content to know that I'm a utilitarian. Why are you not getting this? That's a false equivalence, false equivalence, though. Kirk is just one of many parts of the conservative media machine. Broadly, he has no power, like, say, a politician. Look, I'm not saying that, like, it's a net good that he died, right? I'm just saying, like, I just fundamentally disagree with, like, the logic that, like, I'm meant to, like, give a fuck. You know, I'm meant to be, like, upset. How do you substantiate being correct? Propositional logic and evidence. Anyways. Blaming the Democratic Party doesn't do anything and is invalid. Using his death as a way to manipulate people into changing their opinions is something I believe he would be against. I don't think he would be against it. I don't think he would be against it. I think that he would very much so be in favor of it. Hey, Femyoz, I probably said the joke, but, like, my last name is Kirk. I swear no relation. This is freeing AF. What? I don't understand the joke. I'm sorry. Anyways. I don't think you'd be against it either. Well, yeah, no, of course not. My understanding is that you're not going to mourn for a man that has been against your existence. Yeah, exactly. Like, why would I show him any respect? There's a difference between saying, yeah, I think someone should die, versus saying, well, you know, it sucks that he died, but, like, El Bozo, I don't care. Like, he sucked. He was, like, a bad person. Like, why would I feel bad about him dying when, like, he's wanted to eradicate me and people like me for years, and he's publicly advocated in favor of that position. And I meant to, you know, feel bad that he died? I feel nothing. I think it's just very dehumanizing. Have you seen the way they talk about trans people? Have you seen the way that his rhetoric dehumanizes trans people? His rhetoric is very dehumanizing towards trans people. But you're worried about the ultimate dehumanizer being dehumanized? That's what we call the tolerance paradox, my friend. Right? Very callous, very immoral. Really, what's the immoral action I've done? Stop stooping to the same level? It's not stooping to the same level. Like, what do you want me to do? Fucking virtue signal? Start groveling on my knees for Charlie Kirk? Like, what do you expect? This is the Femyoz live show, okay? We make fun of bad people here. I don't know. I never said grieve, I just said to have respect. Why would I have respect for him? He's a bad person. The same way that if Trump died, I wouldn't have respect for him either. He's a horrible person. He's a rapist pedophile. Why would I ever respect, like, a horrible person just because they're dead? That's ridiculous. No respect for any of these people. If I don't respect somebody before they're dead, I'm not going to suddenly start respecting them after they're dead. And vice versa. If I respect someone before they're dead, I will respect the fuck out of them after they're dead. And I will be consistent on that. I'm not going to change my... I think that people view death in a very flawed manner. Okay? People think that, like, oh, once you're dead, you warrant more moral consideration or some shit. I think that's ridiculous. Again, it's the same mindset as all the people that never watched a single Technoblade video that went around being like, oh my god, he was my favorite YouTuber, and I'm so sad personally that he died. It's like, shut up, dude. You're just virtue signaling for attention at that point. You actually don't give a fuck. I agree that Trump is a terrible person, but do I go on social media and celebrate? What, if he were to, like, die? I mean, that's up to you. I don't know. I just, like, it's immoral to celebrate another human's death. What about Hitler's death? Are we allowed to celebrate that? Like, is there, like, some fundamental property of this where it's, like, it's wrong no matter what? Or do you, like, draw some exceptions? And if so, why? Where do you draw the distinction? How is he a rapist or a pedophile? Oh, I don't know. Maybe, like, all of, like, the sexual assault allegations that have been levied his way, or the fact that he was Jeffrey Epstein's best friend, or, you know, the fact that he, you know, talked very sexually about his own daughter, or, oh, I don't know, maybe the fact that he, you know, was you know, in the, you know, he, abused his position of power over little girl beauty pageants where he would go into the girls' changing room and stare at all the naked little girls. Yeah, I think it's fair to say he's like a pedophile and a rapist. Yeah, I think that's fair. Y'all can hate me, but I think I'm a pretty damn good person. I don't hate you. I just think you're wrong. Like, can I think you're wrong without hating you? Is that so much to ask for? And think and hope it says something that Jay don't celebrate another human's death? Again, like, would it be wrong for, like, a Jewish person to celebrate Hitler's death? Or maybe not Hitler's death. Let's say, okay, who's somebody that's, like, known for being, like, extremely anti-Semitic? Nick Fuentes. Okay, Nick Fuentes is very anti-Jewish. Okay? He's a Nazi. He's openly a Nazi, in fact. Okay? Would it be wrong for a Jewish person to, like, be indifferent towards Nick Fuentes dying and just, like, not give him any respect? Is that wrong? Like, is it wrong if a Nazi dies? Is it okay if a Jewish person doesn't give that dead Nazi any respect? It's not that they advocated for them to die. It's not that they were in favor of them dying. All they did was just not show them respect after they were already dead. I'd like to hear a response, Slimer. Epstein is dead. I don't see anyone respecting him. Yeah, and, like, right after he died, nobody should have respected him either. Why? Because he was a bad person. Like, Limer, you do realize, by your own logic, a Jewish person should be obligated to show respect to a dead Nazi because they're dead and you have to respect the dead no matter what. Or alternatively, a victim of child sexual assault should be obligated to show respect to Jeffrey Epstein right after he dies. That's ridiculous. Why? You should not take the law into your own hands. That's not what I'm doing. Well, yeah, Nick Fuentes is going to be a lot worse than Kirk in some ways, yeah. Did I say show respect in the sense of showing a video? Or, like, making a statement? No. Do you think it would be wrong? Okay, I want you to answer the question I asked, okay? Do you think it would be wrong if right after Jeffrey Epstein died, a victim of child sexual assault started celebrating his death? Do you think that would be wrong? Okay, we'll start there. By just letting it breathe? Okay, so do you think it would be wrong to make jokes about Jeffrey Epstein right after he died? Did Kirk assault anyone? That's not the question I asked. Thank you, Nate, for the 2 saying, fuck Limer, all my homies hate Limer. Look, I don't have anything against Limer, okay? I just disagree with her. Kirk assault anyone? Obviously not. No, but he spread a hateful rhetoric. I don't think that the standard should be like, did you assault somebody? Okay, so I'll ask you again. Okay, and here's a question I want you to answer. Okay, and I want, like, an actual answer this time. If a neo-Nazi who does nothing but spread anti-Jewish, anti-Semitic Nazi propaganda all day dies, is it wrong if a Jewish person is either indifferent to that death or, like, makes jokes about it and makes fun of the dead Nazi? Is it wrong for them to do that? Epstein is different? Okay, so engage with the example I just gave you, because it's specifically a political issue. So, Limer, I'd like you to, obviously it's not wrong, correct? Okay, so what if there's, say, for instance, somebody that constantly spreads transphobic rhetoric and is extremely anti-trans? One of the most transphobic people, even denying the fact we even exist or have a right to exist. That person who spews that rhetoric dies, and a trans person makes jokes at their expense once they're dead. Why is that different? Can you explain to me what the symmetry breaker is in those two different situations? It's just his opinion. He didn't assault anyone. Yeah, it was also the Nazis' opinion that the Holocaust was justified. He didn't assault anyone. Why is it wrong for the Jewish person to make fun of the Nazi that died? It's not like they were being assaulted by the Nazi. Or is it the case that you actually don't hold the standard of whether or not somebody was assaulting somebody else? And you have some other standard? Or is it the case you don't really have a standard and it's all vibes based for you? Well, what did the Nazis do? No, I'm asking you, what specifically did this Nazi do? What did this Nazi do? Because I could ask you the same thing. What did transphobes do? Yeah, they also targeted trans people and killed us. That's not the line of logic I would go down. So again, I'm gonna ask you again. If it is wrong, if it is justified for a Jewish person to make fun of a dead Nazi who didn't assault anyone, all they did was spread Nazi propaganda, then why is it not wrong for a trans person to make fun of a dead transphobe who did the same fucking thing? Yeah, honestly, the edgy jokes are no deeper than the casual catharsis from people who have suffered because of people like him. People are analyzing too deep into it. No, literally. Because they didn't just spread Nazi propaganda, did they? They're not a good comparison. No, I'm saying in this example, somebody spreads Nazi propaganda. Wait, hold on. What do you think Nazi propaganda causes? Okay, you're onto something. You're right. Nazi propaganda leads to different outcomes that are bad, right? There could be somebody that just does nothing but spreading Nazi propaganda, right? But that person, if they were to die, and a Jewish person made fun of them after they were dead, you wouldn't say that that's wrong for the Jewish person to do, even though all they're doing is spreading Nazi propaganda. Why? Because you acknowledge that Nazi propaganda is used to target Jewish people. Why is it different when Charlie Kirk does the same thing, but with trans people instead of Jewish people? It's the same thing. All he's doing is just spreading propaganda or whatever. But that propaganda gets used to target trans people, the same way that anti-Semitic propaganda gets used to target Jewish people. False equivalency, that's not a response. Why is it a false equivalency? Explain what the symmetry breaker is. I'll wait. You haven't done that. It is a perfect one-to-one comparison. You can't find a single symmetry breaker. You can't list one. So all you can do is say, well, it's a false equivalency because I said so. But because you say so is not a reason for something to be a false equivalency. You actually have to establish what the symmetry breaker is, and you have failed to do that. You have failed monumentally, my friend. It's just a whataboutism. No, a whataboutism is not when you make a comparison. Analogies are not whataboutisms. That's not what that means. I didn't say, what about this other thing? I said, why is it different from this other thing? So we're still talking about the same thing. Try again. So what is the symmetry breaker between these two scenarios? But, anyways. Finally looked at the actual channel page and oh my god, you look even better when you're not at the desk. That's so. I probably look like shit right now. Limer, I'm waiting for a response. I'm waiting for a response. Okay. Stop. I don't want to put my email in. Or, no? Okay, well, you're forcing me to... No, I'm not making an account. Oh my god. Well, we got a debate tonight? Yeah. You look pretty shut up. Nuh-uh. The summary breaker is the history. Oh, you mean symmetry breaker? You obviously don't know what that means. If you say summary breaker, is the history the truth? The Nazis killed people? Wait, hold on. Did transphobic people kill people? The answer is yes. Transphobes have killed people too. They targeted individuals based on race. You mean the way that transphobes target people based on gender identity? So no symmetry breaker yet. Kirk had an opinion. Yeah, so did the Nazis. Not everything about it was right, obviously, but either way. Yeah, you could say the same thing about a Nazi. Autocorrect? Okay, fair enough. Either way, this isn't a symmetry breaker. Yeah, transphobes also have a history of targeting trans people. This isn't different. The Nazis killed people? Yeah, so did transphobic people. Transphobes have also killed people. Transphobes have targeted people based on gender identity. What is the symmetry breaker? You have not established one. The man who killed Kirk was dating a trans and did all of that for his relationship. I don't care what the person's personal motives are. What does that have to do with me? Yeah, they might have some different personal motives or whatever. I'm not the one that's in favor of shooting people. So why are you attributing that to me? This is just an error among your this is a false attribution error, I guess. The Nazis were historically transphobic, which burned historical documents on the study of trans stuff. Yeah, exactly. Either way. Let's see. Summary. According to Reuters.com. Kirk's rhetoric often involved anti-immigration and anti-LGBTQ remarks. So, anti-queer. Views often aligned with far-right elements of the Republican Party. Okay? Let's see. Let's see. Kirk seemed to relish in confrontation, casting himself as a champion of free speech, exchange of ideas. Blah, blah, blah. He believed in the power of argument in good faith. He never argued in good faith, by the way. Kirk's rhetoric, which often involved anti-LGBTQ, anti-immigrant comments, engendered strong feelings. While many of his views on trans rights and LGBTQ rights, abortion, immigration, affirmative action, gun control, reflected today's mainstream Republican Party, others were more aligned with the party's far-right faction, such as blaming black people for crime and claiming the left is using Islam to destroy America. Yeah, so let's not pretend like this guy is a reasonable individual. I didn't attribute it to you, WTF. Okay, so what's your point? Why did you bring it up? Why is it relevant to the conversation? Can you explain why it's relevant? And again, you still haven't found the symmetry breaker. Why is it wrong for a Jewish person to make fun of a dead Nazi propagandist, right, after they're dead, but it's wrong for a trans person to make fun of a dead anti-trans propagandist? What is the difference? You brought up trans people shooting people as if it has no place in this conversation. What? Huh? What are you yapping about? What are you... Comparing Nazis to Kirk is crazy? No, I'm taking what you're saying to the logical conclusion. But again, you haven't established the symmetry breaker. Okay. So instead of the word Nazi, we'll just say anti-Semitic. Okay? I would assume you would agree that if a Jewish person makes edgy jokes about an anti-Semitic person who's extremely anti-Jewish, okay? They're very anti-Jewish. They hate the Jews. They think that the Holocaust against the Jews specifically was justified, okay? They're in favor of or maybe they're in favor of conversion therapy for Jewish people where they get converted into Christians. Maybe they're in favor of something like that, okay? Would it be wrong for a Jewish person to make fun of them once they're dead and not show them respect? The answer is obviously no. So why is it okay for a Jewish person to make fun of a dead anti-Semitic person, but it's wrong for a trans person to make fun of a dead transphobic person? I love how you treat me differently now, though. What are you talking about? If you're saying wrong shit and debating me, then yeah, I'm probably gonna, respond to that like I would when I debate anybody else. No, but did Nazis just spread their opinion? Some of them, yeah. Yeah, some of them did that, yeah. But you want to know what their opinions did and how they reflected themselves in society and how that kind of propaganda led to, well, where it inevitably led? Well, it starts out with people buying into propaganda. I commented on your live, never intended to debate you, but damn, I would love to on another topic. Okay, well, then you don't have to engage, but like, then don't talk about it. Like, I don't know what you want. Like, I don't get it. Yeah, Adolf Hitler started out as like a political speaker. What did his words turn into? Action. Would it have been let's say Hitler, back when he was just a political speaker, very anti-Semitic, but he was just a political speaker. He hadn't, done any violence, at least not yet, aside from like, being in war. But I mean, war is war. I mean, come on. What do you expect, right? Aside from being in World War I, he hadn't done anything violent, right? He hadn't done anything, he hadn't like done anything in that regard. He was just a political speaker, a rhetorician, if you will. Would it be wrong if a Jewish person at the time, like let's say it's an alternate reality and he died? Okay, somebody killed him, and then a day later, a Jewish person looks at that and says, "Yeah, that's kind of funny, I guess." Like they didn't advocate for him dying; they just simply said, "Well, this guy kind of advocated against my right to exist, so I don't really feel bad." And then they make edgy jokes about it. Like, what's so bad about that? I mean, he just had an opinion. There was no history back then. There was no history. There was no history of the Holocaust that hadn't happened yet. Would you condemn that Jewish person? That seems a bit ridiculous. So we obviously wouldn't have the historical ramifications be the symmetry breaker here. Yeah, let's not pretend like he wasn't a grifter. You have the prettiest fucking eyes. Thank you. Thing is, the right does understand that words lead to violence. Kirk was dehumanized as a Nazi for years until someone felt comfortable enough to kill him. Well, the thing is that he dehumanized trans people, and if he doesn't want to be called a Nazi, then maybe he should stop acting like one. Like if he has like all of the Nazi positions, except he's like a Zionist instead of an anti-Semite. He's like anti-Palestine instead of anti-Jew. Then like, yeah, I don't think he's that far off. Like that's like a perfectly reasonable position to have. Are you a moral relative? Moral relativist? No, quite the contrary. I actually lean towards moral realism. What did I dodge? The question I asked. Do you know what the question I asked was? That's the meta feel like genocide nowadays? Yeah, absolutely. It's more socially acceptable to support a genocide against Palestinians than it is to support the Holocaust, right? So that's what the modern day Nazis are, is Zionists. But yeah. He dehumanized everyone except for people who were like him. Exactly. People like me were dehumanized by people like him, and yet I'm expected to humanize him and respect him? Absolutely not. I will never have an ounce of respect for anybody that believed that I don't have a right to exist and that advocated against my right to exist and took action to try and further that specific agenda. Why would I have any respect for him? Anyways, where were we? So he has like all of the very right-wing views on that. Let's see. So here's what he said to episode of his show. He said TV personality Joy Reid, former First Lady Michelle Obama, the late Representative Sheila Jackson Lee, and Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson did not have the intelligence to achieve what they did without affirmative action. You had to go steal a white person's slot to be taken somewhat seriously. Yeah, he's not racist, everyone. He also espoused tenets of the Great Replacement conspiracy theory, which fosters the belief that non-white immigrants will replace white citizens and claimed Islam is not compatible with Western civilization. He's not racist, everyone. Oh, let's see. Rallied anti-LGBTQ sentiment. Interesting. Kirk opposed transgender rights, and his organization sponsored rallies against transgender medical care. Oh, you know the thing that I rely on to survive? Yeah, he advocated against my right to exist. He doesn't want people like me to have access to things like HRT. He would rather me kill myself because I'm suicidal as a result of not getting access to necessary medical care and being extremely dysphoric. Oh, but what did he say against trans people? I think it's very obvious. In April of 2024, he likened doctors who performed gender-affirming care to Nazis committing atrocities. What was that you guys said about the Nazi comparisons? So, let me get this straight. When Charlie Kirk compares necessary medical care to Nazis doing atrocities, that's fine. But as soon as I call out somebody for having Nazi-esque rhetoric and say that, yeah, you sound like a Nazi, that's where you draw the line? Give me a fucking break. Bitch, please. Anyways, where was I? Quote, one issue I think that is so against our senses, so against natural law, and dare I say, a throbbing middle finger to God, is the transgender thing happening in America right now. He said during a speech posted in 2023 by Right Wing Watch. Interesting. What was that? I don't know. In the same speech, he cited a Bible verse saying that a woman who puts on men's clothes or a man who puts on a woman's garment is a quote unquote abomination. So he thinks that we're all abominations. He thinks that he thinks that I should be forced to be a man, that I shouldn't have access to necessary medical care, and that I'm an abomination. So he clearly dehumanized me. Very clearly dehumanized me. Anyway, phone died, but good night. And by the way, I'm Hispanic. All right. Not sure what the last part has to do with the convo, but yes, I digress. Let's see. During his show in April of 2022, he argued that gay couples, quote, are not just happy having marriage. Instead, they now want to corrupt your children. What? Wow, what could that rhetoric possibly entail? But I meant to have respect for this guy. I'm meant to respect him now that he's dead? Are you fucking kidding me? Why would I have any respect for this disgusting fucking freak? Wasn't Kirk also the guy who said he thought people dying to gun violence was worth it for his Second Amendment? Yes. In a statement Thursday, a spokesperson for GLAAD, one of the country's leading LGBTQ advocacy groups, condemned political violence as unacceptable and gun violence is an epidemic that needs urgent action. Quote, it is also a demonstrable fact that Charlie Kirk spread infinite amounts of disinformation about LGBTQ people, which is true, by the way. The spokesperson said lies and vitriol about transgender people were a frequent part of his rhetoric and events. End quote. True. What was the person saying? You were asking what he said that was transphobic? Well, what do you think? What do you think? We've gone over quotes that he said personally. We've also included like what do gay people think about this? Essentially, meteoric rise and like a movement. Okay, so this is okay. He worked for Trump Jr. Blah blah blah. Yeah. So, is there anything else? Let's see. He was adored. by folks who shared his vision of America, in which white people were very victimized by efforts to create more diversity and equity. He was despised, feared by folks who were targets of those views. True. Let's see. The day, somebody asked, how is he misogynistic? I think the person that we were watching. The day pop star Taylor Swift announced her engagement to NFL player Travis Kelce, Kirk told the 14-time Grammy winner, whose recent tour grossed over $2 billion, quote, "You're not in charge," urging her to, quote, "reject feminism," and, quote, "submit to your husband." But he's not misogynistic, guys. Not misogynistic. Asked in 2024 if he had a 10-year-old daughter who had been raped, would he have to carry the baby to term? He said, "The answer is yes. The baby would be delivered." Oh, not misogynistic, guys. Not misogynistic. Not allowed to disrespect. Not allowed to disrespect. Did I ever disrespect you, Femi? No. That's not what's up for dispute right now. We're not arguing about whether or not you disrespected me. I'm not saying you're transphobic. I'm not saying you're anti-LGBTQ. I am saying that this is who Charlie Kirk was. I have no respect for him, regardless of the fact that he's dead now. And this is why. This is why I have no respect for him. It's because of this shit. Because of all the anti-LGBTQ stuff. Like, sorry, but like, let's scroll back down. What did he say about LGBTQ again? What did he say about us? Kirk opposed transgender rights, and his organization sponsored rallies against transgender medical care. He likened doctors who perform gender-affirming care to Nazis committing atrocities. Quote, "One issue I think that is so against our senses, so against natural law, and dare I say a throbbing middle finger to God, is the transgender thing happening in America right now." In the same speech, he cited a Bible verse saying that women who put on men's clothes or a man who puts on a woman's garment is an abomination. So he thinks that I'm an abomination and that I don't have the right to get necessary medical care. And this is what he's advocated for. This is the work that he's done. This is his legacy. This was his career, was saying shit like this. And I'm meant to respect him now that he's dead? Are you kidding me? He thinks I'm an abomination. Why would I respect him? Oh, but I'm being called a white supremacist sympathizer by everyone? Okay. I didn't call you anything. Yeah, my chat's gonna have their own opinions the same way you do. I'm not being mean. I'm not being an asshole. I'm being perfectly reasonable. What would happen if you didn't get medical care? I would kill myself because there'd be no reason for me to live anymore. Like, if there was no way for me to ever get medical care ever again, my life wouldn't be worth living unless I can make some sort of political change that makes it better for other people. And I would suffer for the benefit of others at the very least. So, again, also, I've seen way worse stuff than the video. Honestly, the video was not... Okay, to be fair, I'm going to be biased because I saw gore when I was like 8, so the video really didn't affect me compared to like... Because like I've seen like some actually crazy stuff. Video was like very light in terms of gore aspect. Like, look, I've seen ISIS beheadings and shit when I was young, so like, again, I'm going to be like a little bit biased in that regard. I'm going to be desensitized in that specific aspect, but... you know, regardless, Charlie Kirk thinks that I'm an abomination, so I don't feel bad for him at all. Okay, let's continue. Let's see. I think I think we already read all of this. I think we went over everything worth going over, so... Here, I'll link the article in case anyone wants to read it. Do-do-do. Do-do-do-do. There you go. I wasn't even a fan of him. Oh. Yeah. I saw Gore as a kid too, technically worse than that, but Charlie is someone we were all familiar with, so it felt pretty horrible to watch. Really? Am I insane? I don't know. See, that's the thing, is I'm not unaware of the fact that, like, death happens all the time and that it's pretty gruesome. And it's like, knowing somebody doesn't make me immediately, you know, like I don't know, it doesn't feel more real when it's Charlie Kirk, because like everything else is just as real to me. The Palestinian kids dying is just as important to me. More important, actually. Like one Palestinian child is probably worth a lot more than Charlie Kirk. Let's be real. Like, I feel more if I see Palestinians carrying like the dead bodies of family members. That shit actually fucking hurts to watch. That shit fucking sucks to watch. That shit fucking eats away at you. Because these are innocent people who did nothing to deserve this, who didn't ask for any of this, who never did anything to put themselves at risk other than what? Exist? Be born in a fucking ethno-state? That's not their fault. But I meant to feel worse for Charlie Kirk because, oh, well, he's less distant. I don't get it. I don't get it. Yeah, I barely even knew that he existed. He was kind of not that relevant to me. What do Palestinians think of trans people? What does Charlie Kirk think of trans people? The average Palestinian is probably going to be a lot more accepting than Charlie Kirk. Are you kidding? Especially if we're talking about Palestinian children? You think it's like fine for Palestinian children to be murdered? Ridiculous. The horrible part of it all is that people will be afraid of doing any public speaking at all. Yeah, that's like a negative consequence. I would agree with that. People are going to be like more afraid of that. Also, minorities should stand up for minority rights. I agree. You're putting words into my mouth. No, I'm responding to the dumb shit you said. But all right. And guess I'm not allowed to take what you say to its logical conclusion. I think that whole genocide is horrific. Okay, so you agree with me. So why were you asking, what do Palestinians think of trans people? Because usually when people ask that, they're not asking it in good faith. They're not like genuinely curious. Oh, I wonder what they think about trans people. No, they're saying that because it's like meant to be some sort of gotcha. And again, let's say on average they're more transphobic than, you know, people in the US. Fine. But I haven't seen any Palestinians, especially not Palestinian children, with the kind of vitriol that you see from somebody like Charlie Kirk. Yeah, maybe some of them are wrong about stuff, but they're not vitriolic the way that Charlie Kirk is. / was, sorry. Pronouns are was / were, my bad. Opinions are like assholes. Some of them are full of shit. Yeah. Yeah. Don't let people telling you to shut up. Don't let the people telling to shut up and win when it comes to minority rights. No, literally. I saw some Palestinian children kill a bird once. Terrible. Okay. They want as close to a theocracy as we can get. Yeah, and it's like, why would I ever respect that? Or those people? I don't. Dehumanize the opposition against basic human rights would be to engage in the tolerance paradox in the most counterproductive way imaginable. It is merely to tolerate those who are intolerant. We can't do that, because if we do, there cannot be any tolerance, period. There will not be a diversity of opinions. In Charlie Kirk's ideal society, there is no free marketplace of ideas. There is a Christian, theocratic, fascist regime in his ideal world. I asked you earlier because you said that any child's life is worth more than that of an adult's. No, that's not what I believe. I think that most people's lives are worth more than Charlie Kirk's. I'd say that the average Palestinian adult is also worth more moral consideration than Charlie Kirk. Now, granted, I think that we have like more of an emotional response when it's like children dying, because it's like, holy fuck, that's like the most innocent category of people. But, you know, I would say that like both of those groups of people would warrant more moral consideration individually. So you can put value on a life? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that like a good person who does good things is like worth more than like a serial killer. Yeah, some people are better for society than others and worth more. Or some people are just like morally better and therefore worth more moral consideration. What's that indexed to? What, the value of the life? What do you mean? I guess it would be indexed specifically to like whether or not we ought grant moral consideration. Like it would be specifically indexed to the their output on society, as well as their intended output, and whether or not their intended output is good or bad, and whether or not we can help them achieve that or achieve something that's more productive / less counterproductive, depending on what it is. Does that make sense? So for instance, somebody like Charlie Kirk, who is actively malicious and has a terrible output on society, I am not going to give the same level of moral consideration or credence as I would to, say, for instance, some innocent Palestinian child that's done nothing wrong, right? I'm going to give way more credence to the life of the innocent Palestinian child, obviously, right? Nazis get scalped. That's under the assumption that he's a Nazi, correct? What? It's under the assumption that he advocates in favor of the things he does. Label it however you want. It doesn't matter if Nazi is like a super accurate. I would say it's under the assumption that he's a fascist, which he is. He's absolutely a fascist. He's extremely transphobic as well. So like as a trans person, I'm not gonna feel very bad. I'm not gonna feel very bad. You know, after being demonized by people like him, by him and people like him for years, I'm not gonna feel sorry when something bad happens to the one of the people that's demonized me and people like me for no fucking reason. What is a fascist? A hyper-nationalistic authoritarian, which he would fit under the category of. Right? So would Trump. And the main guy that he supported him. I don't want to get into like all the tenets of fascism, but you know. I'm gonna keep it real. This is one of the more chill and laid back debates you've had, Femi. Yeah. Sometimes I'm like super aggressive and sometimes I'm like super fucking chill. This is one of the chill debates that I've had. I think it's because I'm tired. I don't have the energy to be aggressive, which is probably for the better. I think I'm a better debater when I'm chill. You know what I mean? It's like less performative and it's more like a, yeah. I'm just like, saying what I think. This is you chill? Yeah. At what age do children be considered less effective or have less potential? What? What do you mean? In what regard? I don't know what you're yapping about. Anyways. If I'm using calling him a Nazi, I am. Yeah, fair. Anyways. She bite on my neck till I Kirk. That's crazy. When I'm tired, I'm really chill too. Yeah. No homo, but you have a nice smile? Well, thank you. Fuck, no homo, yes homo, and yes bi, and yes whatever. You have the nicest smile? Hell yeah. Let's go. So based. So based. Oh my god. Oh my god. Dude, people are just finding out for the first time that Limer is a woman. You gotta say that. Everyone has been saying he the whole time. Means I can be more bitchy. So real. So real. At the end of the day, he was a human. Yeah, so was Hitler. Yeah, like every bad person is human. What about it? I just think that if everyone had the decency, they would. Oh, if everyone has decency, they would just be quiet and respect the fact that he was a fellow human that passed very tragically. Yeah, but again, you could make the same argument about like a Jewish person that makes edgy jokes about an extremely anti-Jewish person that dies. Let's say that a Nazi tragically dies after spewing Nazi propaganda. You know, that's all they were doing. They were just saying what they believed. You know, they died for sharing their opinions. And you as a Jewish person are going to celebrate it? Wow, very fucked up. Like, no. That's why I brought up the comparison, by the way. A human dying is not universally a tragedy. True. Yeah, exactly. Limer has been fine with all the George Floyd jokes that I make. Now, granted, I guess you can make you could say that, well, the difference is that, like, you don't have anything against George Floyd. You do have something against Charlie Kirk. With Charlie Kirk, it's like you do actually believe that he's, like, a bad person. And it's like, yeah, sure. But, I can still make edgy jokes. Like, there's no way that this mini disagreement ended before I could get McDonald's order. I think that's the real injustice going here. Like, I'm still in the drive-thru as I send this. True. I think I'm gonna go to Eep to the stream. Night-night, y'all. Night-night, Kimmy. Hope you've enjoyed your stay. Kirk's death was a spectacle due to the fact that it was recorded, and being he was a white supremacist, it was a... look, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to read that on YouTube, but... well, not that I'm not allowed, but I don't want a Fed post. I don't want a Fed post, right? Careful not the Fed post, chat. Careful not the Fed post. He died because of that man, but he was also on drugs? So, huh? So if it turned out tomorrow that, like, Charlie Kirk was addicted to ketamine, like, suddenly you'd be like, okay, like, you'd switch your position. Be like, yeah, actually, he was addicted to drugs, so, like, therefore it's okay to make fun of him. Okay. Sure. Yeah, literally, how is it relevant? The world mourned the loss of a beautiful BBC the day we lost Floyd. True. Brought a guy put on his weight, threw his knee onto the guy's neck for 8 full minutes. The drugs didn't do that, lol. No, literally. I mean, it might be better to compare Kirk to a Klansman, since most Klansmen aren't actually murderers, but celebrating their deaths is normalized. Ooh, you got a good point. Is it wrong for, like, a black person to celebrate the death of a Klansman? Like, let's say it's just, like, a Klansman that spreads, like, white supremacist propaganda, and, like, they hate black people, but, like, all they do is, like, say anti-black rhetoric. Like, is it bad if, like, the black person, like after, like, that, the Klansman dies, like, if the black person's like, yeah, sucks to be them, rip bozo, and, like, they don't give a fuck and they just make edgy jokes about it? It's not like they killed them for their free speech or whatever, they just make jokes after they're already dead. I don't get how he was a white supremacist, everyone's got an opinion. Yeah, some people's opinions are wrong. Some people have opinions that entail white supremacy or transphobia or Nazi ideology. It's like, yeah, there are plenty of opinions that make me lose sympathy, right? So again, for the same reason that it's perfectly justifiable for a black person to laugh at a Klansman who dies, I think it's reasonable for a trans person to laugh at a transphobe after they die, right? There's no difference. Did he hurt anyone, or was it an opinion? You could say the same thing about a Nazi. Okay? Let's say Nick Fuentes, for example. He's a Nazi. Did he hurt anyone? Or is it just an opinion? Well, he just believes that, like, the Holocaust wasn't real and that the Jews are controlling everything and that they're all, like, controlling the banks. It's just, like, his opinion, right? Just like if a Jewish person were to, like, celebrate his death, that'd be, like, wrong, right? According to this? Is any of this reasonable to label as a moral realist? What does moral realism have to do with the discussion? We're talking about normative ethics. It would be wrong? I don't think you understand what moral realism means or what it entails. Like, moral realism is just like the notion that morality is stance independent. But moral realism has nothing to do with what we're talking about. Like, what is the fact of, like, what is my take on whether or not morality is stance dependent or independent have to do with anything we're talking about? Is it moral to celebrate another human dying? It depends on the context. Not all deaths are equal. Right? Like, would it be wrong for, you know, a Jewish person to celebrate Hitler's death? Of course not. So that's not like a moral relativist position. That's just not all deaths are morally equivalent. Right? So what's your point? Anyways. Yeah. But yeah, anyways. So moral is our president refusing to call both sides to turn the attempt down? Well, yeah, because he's just using it as like an attack on the left. KKK never been to a hookah bar with big booty sisters shaking that brown sugar? True. That's facts. I don't like Charlie Kirk, but I can't laugh at jokes about him. I mean, look, I think if you laugh at jokes about him, I mean, that's up to you. Charlie Kirk, more like Charlie Cock. This is true. I don't think Jews think about Nick Fuentes much. Yeah, I didn't think about Charlie Kirk much. But like if a Jewish person like makes jokes, let's say Nick Fuentes gets shot, okay? And then like a Jewish person like makes a joke about it. Like, would you condemn the Jewish person? Of course not. That'd be ridiculous. You're not allowed to make fun of the dead Nazi. If you are normalizing and justifying and celebrating Kirk's death, but simultaneously claiming that LGBTQ deaths, Gaza deaths, and racial minority deaths are tragic regardless, wouldn't that be a contradiction? No, because I already said that not all deaths are equal. Right? So like if you kill someone in self-defense, that's like a death, but that's like justified, for example. Or like for instance, like innocent LGBTQ people dying is not the same as like a Nazi or like a transphobe dying. Like somebody that like, seeks to eradicate my right to exist, they're not gonna be the same as the person whose rights are being eradicated, right? It's not the same playing field. Because the principle is that human life is inherently valuable, or is it not? That's not what that means. I'm a consequentialist. It has nothing to do with whether or not human life is inherently valuable. I think that the only thing that makes human life valuable is our sentient experiences, and I think that those that seek to maximize harm are, going to be the ones that are immoral, right? So for instance, I'm in favor of things that maximize good outcomes, right? I'm a consequentialist. The sentiment that you bring is not that of a moral relativist. Correct, it's not. It's that of a moral realist. Or a moral relativist. It could be either. It actually has nothing to do with moral relativism or realism. We're talking about normative ethics. Moral realism / relativism has nothing to do with the actual normative ethics on the matter. Now, we could get into a moral realism debate later if you want. We're not talking about that. We are talking about normative ethics. Right? I am in favor of whatever causes the least bad outcomes. And again, I wouldn't criticize a Jewish person for laughing at a dead Nazi. Even if all the dead Nazi did was spread Nazi propaganda. That's just their opinion, right? That's just their opinion. But I wouldn't go around saying, oh, so you're celebrating somebody's death for their opinion? Like, wouldn't that be kind of ridiculous and bad faith, don't you think? It was gory. I heard it was like a fountain. It was probably a bit gory for like the average person for sure. It's definitely gorgeous on Sangor. Yeah, I've seen way worse. I mean, the actual footage on the side of where it went into. Yeah, I saw that. I saw all the different angles. I saw the archive of every single angle. Yeah, it's not that gory relative to other gore that I've seen. It was super mild to me. Yeah, me too. Again, it's going to depend on like, how long you've been on the internet. Like, what were you exposed to as a child? That's going to like partially determine your sensitivity to that. So again, I saw gore as like an 8-year-old child. That was like more graphic than, maybe, I don't know if I'd say more. I mean, it's like, you start with like the ISIS, like beheadings, you just sort of Yeah, it's not like his brains were lashing out. It's not like his head like got chopped off and is like rolling around on the ground. You know? But either way, I'm not here to talk about like how bad is it in terms of gore value. It was far away and very low quality. Now there was like a closer one. There was one that was closer, but like where you could clearly see what was happening, and you could see the blood, but it really wasn't that bad. Like gore wise, I mean. Like as far as gore goes, that's like one of the less bad things I've seen. What were your thoughts on the bullet memes? I thought they were funny. What's your read on the kid? I don't know anything about the kid. Maybe I should research it. Since Charlie Kirk is all we can talk about, it seems. You know? I don't know why. Watch the Charlie Kirk video while eating? Yeah, I don't recommend doing that. Bad idea. What's your stance on gun control? I don't have a strong stance on gun control. I'm Kirking it so good right now. Alright. Everyone is talking about Charlie Kirk. I know, but it just keeps getting brought up. It's all MSM is talking about. Yeah, it's so bad. It's so bad. It's distraction from the Epstein files. Never forget the Epstein files. It's annoying. Yeah, it's like, dude, I don't care about this person. Like, I already said my piece, like, in a previous live stream, and, like, maybe I have, like, a little bit more of, like, a well-thought-out take now. But, you know, I don't know, dude. It's a pretty big event. Yeah, but it's like, dude, why do people like, I already gave my take. Yeah, people can just, like, click on my channel, go to the live section, and see what my take is on it. It's only big because, like, people are making it big. It really shouldn't be that big. Like, for the same reason that, like, that Paul Pelosi being attacked with a fucking hammer wasn't that big. You know, the thing that Charlie Kirk said that the person that got convicted or whatever, that got arrested for that, you know, remember. Okay, don't forget what Charlie Kirk said about the Pelosi attacker. He says that a patriot should bail out alleged Paul Pelosi attacker. What does that mean? Now, after Paul Pelosi almost died, after being attacked with a hammer. Very interesting. Very interesting. It's because he's a famous person and there's clear footage of it. I just don't think that should be relevant. Dems are terrible at propaganda? No, literally. Yeah, they should have done way more with that attack. Absolutely. They should have weaponized it. It's not like the right wouldn't do the same. They are. That's what they're doing right now. Why is that? But that is why it's getting so much coverage is all? No, it's because the right wing is better at propaganda than the left wing, and we needed to fix that. And this is why I try to be aggressive with my rhetoric to an extent. This is why I don't do any of the limp dick civility politics bullshit, is because it doesn't work. It's not 2010 anymore. Civility politics won't get us anywhere. Okay? I believe that there is a war on Christianity. Well, you probably also believe that the earth is flat. Or that, like, evolution isn't real, so. Yeah. You probably believe a lot of dumb things. So I don't know why you're, you know, outing yourself as like a moron in my chat, but you know. No, the Democrats just went, so sad, Charlie Kirk. So sad. Such a good soul. Gun control, but we won't do anything, lol. Yeah, no, literally. It's so pathetic. Such limp-dicked shit. Like, no, we should be making jokes the same way that Republicans made jokes about Paul Pelosi. And guess what? When they did that, that wasn't like a rhetorical strategy I took issue with. I just thought it was in poor taste because I don't think that Paul Pelosi did anything that would warrant that. Or not even close. Like, Paul Pelosi didn't dehumanize people the way that Charlie Kirk did. But, you know.
The list goes on.
Yeah, no one got fired for saying those things. But people claim that, like, oh, cancel culture is like when left-wingers target right-wingers. It's like, no, it's not right-wingers that are getting fired for their political opinions. It's just not the case. They are actively going out of their way to get left-wingers fired for not condemning Charlie Kirk's death hard enough, or for making edgy jokes. It's fucking pathetic.
Anyone that's not white, very upset that Charlie Kirk has passed. If any of those terms were real about Charlie Kirk, then why on earth do all the same people that were commonly being told he hates, loves, and supports him just stop?
Because some people are delusional and they don't actually know what he said. Or either that, or it's the case that, you know, they are grifting, or it's the case that they, you know, are self-hating. There's a lot of explanations. But again, Charlie Kirk has explicitly stated that he thinks trans people, so people like me, are abominations. Okay? He thinks that gender affirming care should be banned. He thinks I shouldn't be allowed to have access to necessary medical care. He thinks it should be banned for all ages. Okay? He thinks he thinks that I shouldn't be allowed to exist. But yeah. Let's continue. Where the hell? Sorry. Like, I have too many tabs open.
Stop for 1 second, just 1 second. Stop listening to mainstream media.
Well, listen to me instead. You should trust what I say. Well, I'm more underground than this guy, so you should listen to me.
Stop listening to your...
Yeah, but yeah, exactly. Right-wingers are totally silenced, even though they're the ones that are targeting us, threatening to take our jobs away, threatening to get us fired for simply sharing a differing viewpoint.
Friend groups. Stop listening to your echo chambers in social media, which even I myself in, and I try my best to, you know, get away from echo chambers.
I don't believe that for a second.
Just stop being told how to think. And yeah.
Okay, well, that's what I'm doing. I'm not willing to be told what to think. I am willing to do my own research and look at the evidence, and that's what I did, and I came to my own conclusions. And let me guess, you came to some wrong conclusions.
You're watching this video, and I'm helping debunk the lies, but it's with his words and with full context of which...
Oh, really? Well, surely you're going to give us the full context.
Most people...
This dumb fuck ain't worth watching? True.
...are not getting. Like, that's the one thing I learned from Charlie the most. Back in 2017, 2018, when I was really on my worldview and my thoughts were being challenged, watching his content...
Dude, your thoughts were just like based on aesthetics as established in the previous video we watched.
Can't even get the chance.
So literally just like, oh, now I'm a part of this social club instead of this social club. You didn't actually explain how like any of your views changed. You didn't explain how your views on things like abortion, trans rights, etc. You didn't explain how any of those had changed. You explained how like you heard like a shitty like talking point against systemic racism. You don't address any of the actual points that people make or any of the counter arguments that are made.
To meet him was just, you know, seeking the truth for myself. I listened to my friends. I listened to my...
But you're not a truth seeker. That's just like a fundamental error in reasoning. If you think that like, you know, siding with a different group instead of the one that you vibed with previously is thinking for yourself, you are sadly mistaken. You're just going from skinwalking as one thing to the next.
Favorite influencers and creators, but I always defaulted to my own research and deep research.
Really, deep research. Wow, I'm so excited to see your deep research.
Really understanding what they were saying and why. And it's hard. It destructs your worldview. It's challenging. It is.
It destructs your worldview. Okay.
It is, but it's needed. We have to stop and think for ourselves. Like,
Yep, that's what I'm
truly,
doing.
again, I can't stress this enough. Everything that they say Charlie is, there's a group of people for each term that absolutely adore him and miss.
Well, you mean like a vast minority? Yeah, there's Jewish people that like, yeah, there's going to be some small percentage of Jewish people that are Nazis that supported Hitler. Yeah, like that doesn't mean that Hitler wasn't anti-Semitic. Again, that's a hyperbolic example, but like, I mean, hell, have you seen like the fucking Nazi femboys that exist? Hitler would have fucking gassed them. You think that's going to stop them from supporting Hitler? No, they have like these fucking swastika armbands. They have like the fucking the spinny thingy, like the black sun thingy, you know, and like hung up in their room. So clearly it's not based on like whether or not they're personally targeted in all instances. Otherwise, there would be no such thing as like femboys that support Hitler. But you know.
him. Why? That's what this video is about. This is exactly what Charlie always pushed me to do. And this is what I feel like is missing right now in this discourse about who this man is, especially from the left, the part.
Yeah, well, I did my own research and found out that, oh no, it's not looking too good for Charlie Kirk.
Party of love, inclusivity.
Stephen Miller is literally a Jewish Nazi. Yeah, exactly. Like, it's just like, well, I can't be racist because I'm black type of logic. It's like, no, that's not how that works. Well, they can't be transphobic because they're transgender. Bullshit.
Positivity, the list goes on. If that is the case, why are things like this being displayed?
Probably because it's like edgy. Probably because it makes people like you mad and it's funny.
Why are things like this being promoted right now? Why are things
because it makes people like you mad.
Like this being said? You don't see that type of behavior on the right. You don't. Hell, even the center, you don't.
I bet Charlie looked at him, called him a fag and dipped. Probably.
You just don't. Like, again, you're listening to a black gay man who used to be so.
Guys, I'm a black gay man, everybody. Weren't you like supposed to be against DI or whatever?
So far on the left, crying in the streets. And now I'm more center right, admittedly, because of.
No, you're just like a right winger.
My own research that I've done, you know.
It's not based on research you've done. It's all vibes based, and you've already explained why.
People think I grew up so privileged. I've been homeless before. I've been sent to conversion therapy. Like, there's so much to me in my story. So, like let's get any pre-notions about.
I don't care about your anecdotes. I want you to give me actual reasons for your ideological positions.
Who I am and what I do. Like, get those out. Okay, this video is for the person that I once was, who was lost in this realm, in this mainstream media, in this news cycle, not.
I guess that's like supposed to be you guys, I guess.
Knowing what to believe, where to go. That's when I make content.
Oh, but he's gonna give us meaning.
Like this. Again.
Yeah, I'm black and gay, therefore I win.
This party of love, inclusivity, positivity, like it's everything but. There's this mass.
Okay, well, that's not really how I refer to it. I just say it's like, yeah, the lesser of two evils, and also I support things like, like facts, logic, and reasoning, things that end up getting you at leftist conclusions, but grounding stuff in like actual ethical systems like utilitarianism.
Massive wave, and we'll get into that in another video, but there's this massive wave of people leaving the left. You don't see.
Yeah, because they're fucking grifters.
See it that much from the right, and there's.
Yeah, well, that's because there's a lot more money in leaving the left, quote unquote, than leaving the right. You want to know what happens when you leave the right? You get like 1/10 of the views that you got before. Okay, what happened to Hunter Avalone? His channel died. So, what the fuck are you yapping about? What are you fucking talking about? There is way more money to be made in leaving the left than leaving the right.
Reason for that. You think about George Floyd in 2020. George Floyd passed, and in response to George Floyd dying was a summer of riots, $2 billion in damage, and over like 30 people killed. We lose.
Yeah. So, do you think that that's like the majority of the protests, or like, oh, there were like a few people that took it too far? What's your stance going to be?
Charlie Kirk, and the only thing that's happening is vigils and people mourning, and then everybody on the left very happy and ecstatic that
somebody that wants to take my rights away is dead. I mean, like, yeah, I don't know why I would be sad about that. Like, yeah, if somebody is like part of a targeted group that Charlie Kirk and people like Charlie Kirk target, then like, yeah, it makes sense that this would be their view. Like, that's completely reasonable.
Charlie has passed. Not to say there weren't people making jokes about Floyd that
Yeah, they were. People are allowed to make jokes, I'm
not saying that wasn't the case, but at this caliber, insanity. We.
Oh, so it's different when they do it at this caliber. Oh no, it's so different.
We're hearing things like, where was this energy when the Democrat died in June? Okay, you're right. Where was this energy?
Yeah. Ever
since Charlie Kirk died, you have had thousands of videos of people celebrating his death. You have teachers, like college teachers, professors, deans losing their jobs because.
Yeah, didn't you say you were against cancel culture in your video from 2 years ago? Let's see if you hold that position.
Because they are promoting and applauding assassins. Yet the right didn't have that energy when.
Uh-oh. Well, what's going on? I thought you were against people getting fired for their political opinions. What changed? What changed, buddy? What's going on here? Oh, you don't mean to tell me that you're just like a dishonest piece of shit that doesn't actually believe anything, right? That'd be terrible.
A Democrat
I'd be shocked.
died. One mainstream Republican, I believe, did or said some harsh things. But again, it wasn't to this caliber. It wasn't at this level of people making.
Really? Because, like, even Charlie Kirk, like, has endorsed violence. I'm going to show it again. So this is after Paul Pelosi almost died after being attacked by a hammer. Charlie Kirk says a patriot should bail out alleged Paul Pelosi attacker. Oh, very interesting. Uh-oh. What's going on here? Interesting. But no, it's only the left.
Making fun of someone's death, applauding someone's death, and just the thing that we're seeing right now doesn't reflect you or just the average person out there. Do not become the hate you claim to fight.
Don't become Charlie Kirk, chat. I agree. Don't become Charlie Kirk.
Don't do it. Don't. As we go through this video, I want you to keep in mind some key things and just some things to have in the back of your head regarding who actively calls for and promotes political violence.
Oh, so now you're going to make arguments about stochastic terrorism. You're going to ignore when, like, you know, right-wingers use rhetoric that incites violence. But now you're going to blame left-wingers of doing it. Let's see. What do you respond to?
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be. People need to.
Yeah, what's the context of that? Uprisings all over the country? What's the context?
Start taking to the streets. This is a dictator. You know, they're.
Yeah, people protesting in the streets. Yep, that's within their rights. Yeah. So nothing so far. I guess, like, people need to, like, care about these issues more and protest in the streets. This is what you're upset about?
Needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives. And
yeah. This is violence to you? That, like, they're clearly saying that they want people to protest when the bad things are happening. That's not the same thing.
Enemies of the state.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
Yeah, good question. Like, yeah, some protesters are going to be loud and aggressive. Yeah, good point. Like, you want to get your point across.
Do something about your dad's immigration practices, you feckless.
They go low, we kill.
How do you resist the temptation?
What? When they go low, we go what? Okay.
To run up and wring her neck.
Biggest terror threat
Okay, it just sounds like a overdramatic
in
statement.
this country is white men, most of them radicalized right up to the right.
I thought he.
Yeah, that. I'm assuming that what he's saying is true. You know, that the and what I mean by that is you know, the additional context. Assuming that this is the context, what he's saying is true. And that context is going to be, yeah, the majority of violence is done by like far right white straight men. Right? That's not saying that people should be judged on the basis of being a straight white man. That's not to say that they should be condemned for it or judged differently. It is merely to say that while it is true that you can point to, oh, there's a trans person that did a shooting, there's also going to be like 1,000 cis people that are far right that did shootings. So yeah, that's probably the point that was being made. Anyways.
Should have punched him in the face. So even if you lost, he insulted your wife.
Yes.
He on the escalator and called Mexicans.
Dude, I'm sorry, but like saying, yeah, this guy has a punchable face, that's not inciting violence. Like, if you ever said, like, yeah, this person just like has like a weirdly punchable face, like, are you saying, yeah, you should go punch them? No, you're just saying they have a punchable face. Some people just are like that. You know, JD Vance has a very punchable face. It's just like a fact. That's not the same thing as saying, yeah, you should go do violence.
Rapist and murders. He said, well, what do you think I should have done? I said, I think you should have punched him in the face and then gotten out of the race. You would have been a hero.
We're only one third through this video, and I'm done playing it because it just keeps going on. All these news outlets, left wing, CNN, MSNBC.
What did they say that's so bad?
All these news pundits literally calling for violence.
Nope, that's not what was in the videos that you showed. You're just like lying.
You know, words have meaning. You're calling someone.
Yeah, they do have meaning, and it's not the meaning that you're ascribing to them.
Even myself, every day, get called racist, homophobic, transphobic, bigot, Nazi.
What does that have to do with anything? Respond to what they're actually saying in the video, you fucking moron.
I've been called it all. Like, you destroy the meanings.
Well, people called me mean things. Therefore, these people are calling for political violence. Okay.
Of these words, and you just throw them out nonstop. You really do. And when politicians do things like this, it boils my blood. Not even just
do things like what? What did they do?
Politicians, but mainstream pundits and political commentators. I've never like there are.
What did they say specifically that you have a problem with? Like, nothing they said was like, even out of context, nothing they said was violent.
There are some fringe people out there, but on this level, this mainstream, on the right, calling for violence in this.
By saying what? That somebody has a punchable face? That's that's such a common insult. People say that all the time. That's not the same thing as calling for violence.
Manner? No. You don't see it. You just don't. And the lies. There are so many out there that will.
Nancy Mace was calling the shooter a tranny before we even knew who they were, Lamau. Yeah, unsurprising.
Go through, but we're going to focus on Charlie Kirk for this video. But here's an inkling. Here's just one example of a small lie that is like, it's one card in a house of cards of lies that they have.
What's the lie?
Built, that they present as the mainstream media. It's hard to look at the news for a lot of people and think, well, they're all lying to me. But it's the little lies that just add up and add up and add up. That just like, when you step away from that and you look at
yeah, explain what it is. Oh my god.
From a clear lens, you're like, oh shit.
No, dude, no wonder why this video is 55 minutes long. Jesus fuck. Yeah, we're not going to get through this.
Like, what is really going on? The quote that I'm going to pull up is from advocate.com, and the title is Reactions to Far-Right Activist Charlie Kirk's Death Pour in
Oh, this ought to be good.
Across the political world. And they have a section here from GLAAD, G-L-A-A-D. It's a LGBTQ rights nonprofit organization. Where it gets crazy to me is right here. GLAAD stressed the extent to which Kirk and Turning Point USA promoted anti-LGBTQ plus narratives. The
Yeah, this is true.
Group highlighted Turning Point College's campus campaigns featuring speakers such as Riley Gaines, Chloe Cole, and Pastor Jensen Yu, who regularly spoke against transgender people.
Yep. The article is correct so far.
You guys, Chloe Cole's trans.
Oh, what? Oh, okay. That means that she can't be transphobic? Like, are you saying that Chloe Cole can't be a useful idiot? Yeah, Blair White's also trans. And, yeah, she's a useful idiot for the right. Why do you think she, moved from Texas to California right after? But she's not allowed to use the women's restroom in Texas anymore. Do you think it's a coincidence? You think it's a coinky-dink?
Chloe Cole was a trans minor that got a double mastectomy as a minor and actively speaks out against transitioning minors.
Oh, okay. So somebody that is against what exactly? How old were they when they got a double mastectomy? Let me guess, they're also against puberty blockers and shit like that. Right? It's not just going to be, oh, I'm against surgery. That's not the position. I don't believe that for a second. But, sure. Yeah, because one person, made a wrong decision or has regret, that means that it should be ruined for everybody else. One person who medically transitioned regrets it. Therefore, it should be ruined for 99 other people who've medically transitioned and are happy with it. Apparently. That totally makes sense.
They did not have to go through all the medical defects and mental turmoil that Chloe Cole is now going through.
Medical defects? Like what?
Because she was sent down the right to transition as a minor.
I was medicalized.
This is just like anecdotes. There's a reason these people can't pull up any actual studies.
Starting with puberty blockers and then testosterone about the age of 13.
Well, no, it wouldn't just be puberty blockers and testosterone at the same time. It would be 2 years of puberty blockers before any amount of testosterone. So it would be 6 months, right? It'd be 6 months of showing persistent gender dysphoria before you can even get puberty blockers. Persistent gender dysphoria, as well as like other list of criteria that you have to meet, like I think like at least a few of, or like at least like a decent number of. Okay, so that's to get puberty blockers. Then, if it remains consistent after 2 years of puberty blockers, then and only then can you get testosterone or HRT. So this person is lying right off the bat.
I went on to have a double mastectomy at 15.
You have GLAAD.
Is there even evidence that this happened? Like, Also, what's the medical age of consent in the state they're from? Look, if you want to say that the medical age of consent should be higher than 15, then that's fine, but that's an argument about the age of medical consent, not trans issues. So, yeah.
At this gay organization calling Chloe Cole anti-trans people. They're literally... That's just one example, you guys.
Yeah, you can be trans and anti-trans the same way that black people can be racist. Like, yeah.
That's just one example. Again, I show all this and I'm saying...
I mean, you guys don't seem afraid to say that you think that it's possible for white people to be racist against white people. But you constantly talk about white guilt and shit like that. But you don't think it could apply to trans people. Okay.
All this because this is what Charlie inspired me to do. It's what he told me to do. And I'm very honored and very thankful.
It's what he told you to do? Okay.
For the interactions that I've had with him in the past. Truth matters. Context matters. And I hope that you walk away from this video with at least a more open mind and understanding on why.
Yeah, that's why you won't provide the context of like how many people actually regret medically transitioning. Let me tell you, it's less than 1%, but he won't talk about the actual regret rates because they prove him wrong. Do puberty blockers have permanent effects? No, you can just go off of them. Like, yeah, there's going to be like some slight chance that like, oh no, like, you know, like you're, like there are going to be like some like possible side effects, but that goes for any medication that you take. Like that goes for antidepressants, ADHD, like any medication that you would take has like possible, fucking Tylenol has side effects, right? Like possible side effects. But that doesn't mean that they're guaranteed or even likely, right? If you read the fucking possible side effects on Tylenol, it's pretty scary stuff, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be allowed to have Tylenol until you're like 18 or some shit, right? That'd be kind of ridiculous. Charlie also advocated for nonviolence, but the right is calling for war now. I think that if it was somebody else that died and not Charlie Kirk would also be siding with the right on that. He would be calling for war. He doesn't believe anything. He's a grifter. I don't think it's any different.
So many people genuinely love the things he had to say and how he operated and moved through this realm. Regardless.
That's not a glowing endorsement of him, though. That just means that, like, yeah, some, like, other people that also suck agreed with him.
In this video, I'm going to be recapping all the things that are currently being said and discussed about Charlie Kirk, starting off with gun rights.
Oh, I don't care about gun rights. We're skipping the gun rights section. I don't give a fuck. Empathy? I think I've briefly mentioned that.
Empathy. Now, there's also a clip that's going around of Charlie Kirk talking about his opinions on the word empathy, and let's just hear what he has to say.
The new communication strategy is not to do what Bill Clinton used to do, where he would say, I feel your pain. Instead, it is to say you're actually not in pain. So let's just, very short clip. Bill Clinton in the 1990s, it was all about empathy and sympathy. I can't stand the word empathy, actually. I think empathy is a made-up New Age term that does a lot of damage, but it is very
What's the damage it does?
effective when it comes to politics. Sympathy I prefer more than empathy. That's a separate topic for a different time.
Important. At the end, he says, sympathy is what I prefer more than the word empathy.
Yeah, it's still a shit take. Like, sympathy is, like, understanding that, like, somebody is, like, experiencing something positive or negative. Empathy is being able to, like, empathize with that and, like, view them as, like, a human. So that doesn't really change anything. Like, he's obviously anti-empathy.
Because he feels like empathy is a word that's being taken advantage of.
What the fuck do you mean taken advantage of? Any word can be taken advantage of. What are you talking about?
And it is. It is an overblown word.
It's an overblown word?
Word that has been, if we're going to explain that quote and what he was...
Dude, the word empathy is nothing new. Like, what are you yapping about?
Referring to and talking about this idea that's been growing that we have to be empathetic of everybody. And
yeah, I would disagree with that idea, yeah. I don't think that I should have to be empathetic towards Charlie Kirk. Because I'm not empathetic towards everybody. I have selective empathy, my friend. Okay, maybe it's not entirely selective. Like, I do have empathy for people when I feel like I shouldn't, right? People that, like, have treated me like shit. Sometimes I have a lot of empathy for them anyway. But, no, I mean... It really depends on who it is and why, you know, they are where they are. I feel like I have more empathy for, like, bad people if they're, like, in, like, a really shitty circumstance. You know what I mean? But, I don't know, maybe that's just me.
There comes a point where our empathy clouds our judgment. There comes a point where you're so empathetic. Instead of just having sympathy for somebody, you're so, like, I feel your pain and I don't want you to have pain.
No, that's what empathy is. Empathy is when you feel the other person's pain. You don't know what you're talking about.
Just take anything where that ruins society. You know, something that I often think about is this growing hatred, like infighting within the LGBTQ community. And
wait, I thought you said that like empathy was bad.
I'm not kidding you guys.
Empathy is like the opposite of hatred.
There's growing faction of trans men who hate gay men because...
What? Where is this happening? What? Are there trans women that hate lesbians? Like, trans men that hate what?
Trans men are saying trans men are men. The only reason I'm gay, I'm sorry, we're all due respect to females out there. The only reason I'm gay is because I don't like women, like biological women. I don't like.
You mean biological females? Just say you only like dick. That's fine. Nobody is gonna shit on you for having genital preference. Nobody cares. I don't care if someone doesn't want to fuck me because they don't like dick. It's fine. Not a big deal.
Biological women. Trans men are
There's no such thing as a biological woman, by the way. That's like a social term.
Biological women. Obviously, that's not...
Again, that doesn't exist. There's no such thing as a biological woman.
Not gonna work out. So you have some gay people like...
Just say you have genital preference, you fucking moron.
You need to be empathetic towards these trans people and recognize them as a man that they are.
Yeah, socially. Yeah, you can do that without having sex with them, yeah. Yeah, what's the problem with that?
Different. And then people are like, well, that hurts their feelings. They're being...
What? No, you can just say you have genital preference. It's fine. Nobody cares. Nobody's gonna get mad at you for having genital preference or for not having sex with them. And if they do get mad, then yeah, they're probably a sex pest. If they're like, no, you must have sex with me or else you're transphobic. Yeah, if they say that, they're probably a sex pest. And they probably don't represent the trans community at all. Anyway.
Transphobic, you're being a bigot.
Nobody is saying you're transphobic for having genital preference. It's just not a real thing. I'm sorry.
And what, like, it's being overused.
But I never see this. I'm sorry.
Being overused. Oh, well, we have to be empathetic towards Leah Thomas changing in the restroom and identifying as a female. Leah Thomas is...
You mean identifying as a woman? The female would be the biological term. Woman is the social term. What are you talking about? Also, like, what's the problem with this? Like, if she just like changes in the stall, who gives a fuck?
Walking into this...
He's leaving the door open for trans women though, lol. Yeah, I know, it's very strange. Like, would he have sex with me? Like, I have boobs. You know? I don't think he would have sex with me. I wouldn't have sex with him either. But, yeah.
Women's locker room, slanging the elephant trunk all around.
Yeah, I don't think that trans women are going into the women's locker room fucking doing the helicopter. I don't think that's a real thing.
Making all the women, biological women, feel uncomfortable. But people are using the term, oh, you have to be empathetic towards Leah. Leah identifies as a female. She's a female. That word...
You mean woman. You're conflating sex and gender again.
...is being used in a negative manner. That's what all that...
What? How is... Huh? Saying you should have empathy for trans people is negative? Okay.
I was talking about. He appreciates and values the word sympathy. So people are taking this quote out of context and saying...
No, it's not out of context. You just don't understand why people are making the argument that they are.
I don't have empathy for Charlie because Charlie doesn't like empathy.
Yeah, he doesn't. He obviously doesn't.
Look deeper. Stop listening.
You don't even you defined sympathy as the definition of empathy. It's like when you're able to like feel somebody else's pain. You're able to empathize. That's not the same thing as sympathize. Like sympathy would be more like a cognitive understanding that like, yeah, this person is in pain. And that is something that I have the cognitive ability to understand. Also, thank you, Nate, for the 2 saying this dude made a 15-minute video glazing Charlie. You need to get the thong out of his bussy playa. True. Thank you for the 2.
To friend groups, stop listening to tweets, stop listening to TikToks. Like literally, just think deeper about these things, you guys.
It's just the tired anti-woke shit. Yeah, and it's like, dude, and it's like weird because like these people would be like, well, I think like they'll say the same thing that I say sometimes, which is like, well, you should like get your media coverage and from a variety of places and hear people's opinions. And it's like, but it's like when people say retarded shit like this, it like makes it difficult. But I do it anyway for you guys and for myself, just to be like, okay, maybe there's right wingers that have good points, and it's like never seems to be the case.
Think deeper, think critical, and the truth will be revealed. Gay people.
Yeah. The truth reveals that you're fucking dumb.
I'm a gay conservative, and I just want to ask you, what do you have to say for people like me who kind of feel like, I guess, it's kind of hard for gay conservatives because there's not a lot of us. So, like, what do you have to say to other gay people who need to realize, like, they do have a choice?
Yeah, first of all, welcome to the conservative movement. I don't think you should introduce yourself just based on your sexual attractions.
No, I agree. I like this.
Dude. but it's like relevant to the discussion. Like it's relevant to the discussion. What? You shouldn't introduce yourself with the relevant variable that's like necessary for the question. How would he ask the question without clarifying that he's gay? What? What a fucking moron.
That's not who you are.
I like to be thought of as a person, and
for sure, you are a complete human being, and I'm sure you treat people well, and you're studying something. So I want to get away with this idea that you're gay anything.
But like he is. Get away from the idea that you're gay, okay? What about the idea that you're straight? Is that a bad idea as well? Oh, let me guess, Charlie Kirk, you're in favor of straight pride. Yeah, get back in the closet, I guess. Don't tell people you're gay, all right? You have to stay in the closet. All right. Yeah, don't ask, don't tell. Yeah.
I just think that we have gone a long way in a negative direction in this country, where we act as if the most important part of your identity is what you do in the bedroom.
But no, that's not what he was doing. That's not what he was doing, though. He asked you, like, hey, I'm like a gay conservative. What do you think I can do to like reach out to people that are similar to me? And you're like, no, there's no such thing as being gay. All right, it's not important to your identity. Stop thinking of yourself as gay. Yeah.
Politics is about addition and multiplication. I imagine you agree with a lot of what we talk about.
Absolutely.
Right? Strong borders, strong country, and for that, we welcome you to the conservative movement.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, basically the biggest non-answer.
That's
He literally did not answer the question.
what they call homophobic. Oh, well, he...
Yeah, he kind of is. Yeah, he's like a fucking asshole about it. Yeah, if I was that guy, I would not feel very welcomed. Like if that was me, if I was that gay conservative kid, I would not feel welcomed by Charlie Kirk. Like, oh, you disagree with, me, doing what I want in the comfort of my own bedroom, and like you're not answering the question I asked you, and like attacking me because like what I fucking asked, like how do I reach out to other gay conservatives or whatever? Like, okay. I'm viewing it from the perspective of like a conservative gay guy right now. And yeah, it's not looking too good.
Said he doesn't agree with that lifestyle and he doesn't like gay marriage. That's fine. You don't have to think 100% with me on board, and just because you don't like what gay people do doesn't mean I'm a...
I will say that this is one thing conservatives do right, is they're good at like having like a big tent, being like, yeah, these are my positions, but like you're welcome to be on this side of politics anyway, right? The left needs to do more of that instead of self-policing. Would be a lot more effective if that was the case. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Okay, we're not going to entirely disregard the strategy. Strategically, it makes sense. Okay, just keep that in mind.
Write you off as a bigot, homophobic person, and then like, boom, just not going to talk to you for the rest of my life. No. Do you have any idea how gay Turning Point is? With all due respect. You have any idea how many gay people is employed there? Any idea how many...
Turning Point US gay. Being transgender doesn't mean you're transsexual. Yeah, that's true. Those are two different terms that mean different things. Like, transsexual refers to medically transitioning, to at least to some extent. Transgender just refers to, like, not identifying with the gender that you were assigned at birth. So I would be both. Femyoz, since she is on HRT, transsexual, right? Yeah, I would be considered transsexual. Well, those who don't go through surgical or medical changes, typically transgender. Well, you could also be transgender while also being transsexual, right? So I'm transgender and I'm also transsexual, right? So transgender just refers to the identity aspect, which is what I'm going to tell people about first and foremost. So like I'm more likely to say I'm transgender than transsexual because like what's more important to like who I am as a person? Probably transgender. Is going to be like describing like who I am. Like in terms of medical care that I need, I don't feel the need to disclose that to everybody. So I wouldn't say I'm transsexual because that's just like describing like something that I go through medically, right? It's just like, oh, that's like the medical stuff I do. That'd be like if I don't know. Either way, you get the point.
Many gay influencers have been on Turning Point's platform. Like, I can't...
Okay, this is one of the things that the right does well, by the way, is diversity of tactics. We need to implement this more.
Comprehend this idea that he...
Like, we need a big tent, but not in like a seeding ground to the right kind of way. So notice how Charlie Kirk doesn't like seed ground to the I don't know if I'd say the left, but he doesn't seed any ground from the right. Right? Like he doesn't seed any ground. He says, no, I still think that like being gay is wrong, but you're more than welcome to be a part of this movement anyway because we have like a lot of overlap, right? Do you notice what he did there? It's important because we can do the same thing, but in the opposite direction. We could say, no, we don't agree with capitalism, or, you know, we don't agree with you on such and such issue, or I disagree with you on this specific healthcare policy, whatever it may be. But you're more than welcome to be a part of the left anyway. You know, we have a lot of overlap. Welcome to the big tent. But we don't compromise our positions to do so. We don't say, actually, no, I think you're right. Right? Does that make sense? Good luck getting leftists on board with that for me. Look, I'm one of the few leftists that's able to sort of do that, I think. I don't know. Elaborate. What I mean to say is, look, the fact of the matter is, Charlie Kirk is a bad person. Sorry, was/were pronouns. Gotta respect, you know, people's pronouns, of course. Was/were. That's what Dems do. Leftists never compromise. No, because the problem that you seem to not realize is that the Democrats are compromising with the right wing, not with leftists. Ceding ground to the right doesn't get us anywhere. All it does is move the Overton window to the right, and that's what we've seen, especially over the past, 10 years? Overton window has been shifting right and more right and more right. It gets more right wing over time. So, what does that mean? Well, what that means is we're doing something wrong. And what are we doing wrong? We're ceding ground to the right to allow them to shift the Overton window that way. So I want to go back to Charlie Kirk's style of rhetoric here, okay? And explain why, not style of rhetoric, sorry, not just style of rhetoric, but his strategic implementation of certain, certain ideas in terms of what he's saying. He's very strategic. And what I mean is when he takes like a firm, further right stance against homosexuality, right? So he doesn't cede any ground. He doesn't, I guess in his view, cede any ground to the left. But at the same time, he is opening up a big tent for people that are less far right than him to be a part of that group, right? He's moving them further to the right, whether they realize it or not. Okay? And we can do the same thing on the left. We just don't, because, you know, Democratic politicians are incompetent and not really leftists. So, there's that. The left does not compromise to the right. That's fucking retarded. That's a leftist lie. The left or the Dems? The left or the Dems? There's a difference. There's a difference. Regardless, I have always been someone that, you know, has never been in favor of making concessions in a way that causes harm, in a way that shifts the Overton window in a negative direction. The Dems do not move right. They concede certain positions to the right. What are the Dems' thoughts on Israel, by the way? What are their thoughts on Israel? Well, they're very right-wing when it comes to Israel. They're no different from the Republicans for the most part. They're slightly less bad than the Republicans. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? I'll tell you why it is. Because in terms of a lot of their positions, they're bought out. Yeah, I know. Crazy take. Fuck off with Israel. That's retarded. Oh, name one other position. Are we not going to pretend like Gavin Newsom hasn't moved to the right on trans issues? Ceding ground to the right? Interesting. It's not an obsession with Israel. I think it's just a great example of how people are entirely bought out by AIPAC. They're no different from Charlie Kirk. Anyways, let's continue. We have more video to watch.
He's this homophobic bigot just because he is very fond of his religion and he doesn't think two guys should be able to get married. There's a lot of...
Yeah, that is a pretty homophobic belief. Yeah, being against gay marriage is pretty homophobic. California is the most trans-friendly state in America? Okay. Let's see. Pretty sure he, Hmm. Okay, so this is AI, right? So don't just take it with a grain of salt, of course. Right? So if we're taking a look at trans athletes, okay, this is the issue I care the least about. Right? But this is a concession. And I'll tell you why it's a concession regardless of what your view on this is, okay? You did not have this position on trans women in sports before. This is a new position. Okay? So I do think that man on his podcast viewed some by it as a political shift. Okay? Alright. Gavin Newsom breaks with Democrats on trans athletes in sports. Again, this is a concession on his end. This is a concession. Alright? I think it's an issue of fairness. Okay, but does he have an argument for why it's unfair? Does he have a reason to change his position? Did he say what that reason would be? Again, it might seem not like that much, but it always starts at trans sports. His position on trans sports is that it should be decided by the sporting bodies. Okay. Let's see. Conversation, blah, blah, blah. Fun fact, it's with Charlie Kirk. That's where the conversation is. Newsom also agreed that the most politically destructive attack ads from Trump's campaign featured Kamala Harris providing taxpayer-funded gender-affirming transition for detained immigrants and federal prisoners. She didn't even react to it, which was more devastating. Okay, I don't disagree with this so far. She should have stood her ground. Then you have the video of Harris as a validator brutal. It was a great ad. Okay. Challenge Newsom. So Kirk challenged Newsom, blah, 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 to speak out against AB Hernandez. Okay. AB Hernandez. This is one transgender high school athlete. Okay. High school track star from California whose triple jump in the women's competition is drawing fierce backlash from the right. Okay. Newsom said he has 4 children of his own, including 2 daughters, and noted that both he and his wife participate in college-level sports, she in soccer and he in baseball. I review sports. The issue of fairness is completely legit, and I saw that the last couple of years. Boy, did I see you guys were able to weaponize that issue on another level. Kirk challenged Newsom over the word weaponize, and Newsom replaced it with highlight. Interesting. So you see what this is? Shift in rhetoric. Go from weaponize to highlight. To me, that sounds a little bit like a concession. Okay. Politico last month was the first to report Newsom's new podcast with a Democratic governor, saying he drew inspiration from the likes of HBO provocateur Bill Maher, who regularly finds common ground with conservative adversaries while taking frequent aim at Democratic dogma, including on youth trans issues. Interesting. Newsom's interview with Kirk was friendly, sometimes exceedingly so. He mentioned the influence of Kirk and other MAGA world figures have had on his 13-year-old son, distanced himself from the use of pronouns and the gender-neutral term latinx, called defunding the police lunacy, denounced cancel culture. Okay. You know, I fuck with denouncing cancel culture, and agreed that there have been some internal issues in the leadership of the Black Lives Matter organization. Indeed, the 75-minute interview presented Newsom in the opposite light than what he appeared in over the recent years when stumping as a surrogate for former President Joe Biden, Harris, and sparring with ideological foes like Governor Ron DeSantis. Okay. Newsom in the podcast also self-deprecated. I don't care. On youth trans sports, Kirk drew out a longer response. There are relatively few transgender athletes competing at the collegiate level, but Newsom said it was easy to call out the unfairness, echoing concerns raised by Republicans in Washington across the country who argue that banning trans women and girls from participating in school athletic competitions designated for female athletes would ensure fairness. Interesting. While Newsom had at times touched on his own concerns about the issue, particularly around youth sports, the remarks on his eponymous new podcast are his most expansive on the topic. He went to express his sympathy for trans people, noting these poor people have higher rates of suicide and depression, saying, quote, "The way that people talk down to vulnerable communities is an issue that I've had a hard time with as well." Yet, Newsom said Kirk was right when he contended Republicans were capitalizing politically by painting the Democrats as out of step with a strong majority of Americans on the issue. Earlier this week, Senate Democrats blocked a GOP-led effort to bar transgender girls from female youth sports. So again, this isn't like the Olympics. This isn't like professional shit. This is just just fucking high schoolers that want to compete in sports. Okay? I agree with you, Newsom said. We're getting crushed on it. Crushed. Newsom noted his own leadership on issues of LGBTQ rights, but said even some of his friends have privately asked him why he's not been more vocal about trans athletes. Said the authority for trans K-12 athletes competing in girls and women's sports came from a 2014 state law signed by Governor Jerry Brown. It also allowed students who identified as transgender to use school bathrooms consistent with their gender identity. Newsom compared his positions on trans athletes to conservatives who oppose same-sex marriage on principle, saying that he values that Kirk and others are not abandoning their opposition now that gay marriages are both legally and socially acceptable. They're the majority. But that's the thing, is like he was very quiet about it. Very quiet about it. But now suddenly he's loud about it. And if we go back, when did he change his wording? When he was like given the lightest pushback? Let's see. Where did he so he used the word weaponize. He talks about how the right is weaponizing it. Then he had to replace it with highlight. Okay? Again, rhetoric is important. This is intentional. Okay? Now, I'm not saying Newsom is malicious. He views this as a strategic thing. He views this as purely pragmatic / strategic. Okay? But I want to emphasize that it doesn't fucking work. And that's why I said good fucking luck getting leftists to compromise. I'm saying that you shouldn't cede ground to the right. Granted, would I support Newsom? Yes, absolutely. I would support him over most politicians, in fact. That's the difference. At no point am I saying he's not a part of the left. Okay? But I do worry about ceding ground to the right. It is purely pragmatic, mind you. He doesn't do it for non-pragmatic. He doesn't do it out of principle necessarily. But he does think he's doing the right thing. And I want to emphasize that. You are proving my point? I'm not. See, the difference, once again, is regardless of this fact, I'm not somebody that's going to denounce Gavin Newsom. But I will point out the fact that, yeah, he has moved a little bit to the right on trans issues. And that's worrying. I didn't say that he's transphobic. Did I? Or did I not? The answer is I didn't. I said he moved to the right on trans issues. He ceded ground to the right. That's all I had an issue with, is ceding ground to the right when it is not necessary. Okay? So, once again, I can broadly support somebody, their policies, etc., while simultaneously disagreeing with them on something and simultaneously saying we ought not cede ground to the right. Those are three separate statements, but they can coexist. Not you, Femi Bays. Okay. Not me? All right. Good. I was going to say. Regardless, I am strongly of the belief that ceding ground to the right is not the right strat. That's all I'm saying. Not that Gavin Newsom is a bad person for it. He's doing it for pragmatic reasons. I think that he's wrong in his analysis, but I don't think his motives are wrong. There's a key distinction. Okay? That's not giving ground to the right, though. It absolutely is. Moving to the right on a specific issue? Yeah, that is giving ground to the right. So, once again, trans women and women's sports is an 80-20 issue nationwide. Yeah, so do you believe that the majority determines what's right and wrong? Do you think that's what determines what ought to be done? And the majority of people used to think slavery was okay, right? Look, I'm not saying that I even take a particularly strong stance on trans. It's the issue that I care the least about. Okay? But at the very least, the minimum that I expect from somebody like Newsom is to make a similar argument to what I've made. And the argument I've made, well, I've made two arguments. One of them is that trans people have been able to participate in the Olympics for like over 2 decades. There's a greater than 2-decade window of time where trans women have been able to participate in the Olympics for women's sports. Okay. So if trans women were taking over women's sports, then why is there not a disproportionate amount of trans women with gold medals? Why are they disproportionately underrepresented? Right. So that's the first thing. But I would ideally like to see him make an argument like that. But if he can't even be asked to do that, he can do the minimum. Okay? And the minimum is to say, well, I think that the issue of fairness is based on what puberty you've gone through. So, for example, if somebody is a trans woman and they, instead of going through male puberty, went on to puberty blockers and then went on HRT and never went through male puberty, there is no reason for them to be barred from trans women's sports. Additionally, if there is, say, for instance, a cis woman who was born as a woman, born as female, assigned female at birth, okay, and she went on testosterone at one point. Maybe it's a detransitioner. You'd also have to concede that this person should not be allowed to participate in women's sports ever again, regardless of how long they've been off of testosterone for. That is the minimum for a consistent position, right? That is the minimum that I would expect from him. Okay? Now, granted, this doesn't mean that I'm anti-Gavin Newsom. This doesn't mean I think he's transphobic or a bad person. Rather, I find it disappointing when people like him cede ground to the right in that way. Sorry, but I think it's impossible to make sure it's always fair. Well, yeah, it is difficult to make sure that sports are fair. Not on the basis of gender, but just in general. And also, it's not like, if we read the article, it's not Gavin Newsom saying, oh, you know, I would just go based on like what the professionals have to say. I'm not a professional on the matter. Right? Is that him saying that? Right? Oh, I'm just going based on what professionals are saying. It's him saying, no, I actually agree with the right on this. There's a difference. It's not meant to be fair in the way you suggest. It's about someone winning, and in this, someone loses. That's sport. Yeah. And? What's your point? Are you going to make like an argument? As for who can compete, this is written in the rules. Yeah, but rules can change. What if like the rules are wrong? You ever considered that? You didn't make your point. You didn't make a point. Yes, rules can change. Okay, so yeah, what's your point? It's not a matter of whether or not it's written in the rules. Rules cannot be wrong. Okay, so like if the rule is that black people aren't allowed to compete in white people's sports, you don't think that that rule is wrong? Really? Why isn't that rule wrong? I mean, you're saying that rules cannot be wrong, so clearly you think that that rule is correct, or at least not wrong. They are arbitrary, it's a sport. You are talking about higher ethics. Yeah, that's what rules should be based on. Yeah, we should base rules off of what maximizes positive outcomes. So yeah, so if they're arbitrary and it's a sport, you would have no problem with, I don't know, say for instance, black people being barred from white people's sports, right? Rules on sport aren't based on ethics, it's a game. Okay, so why is it wrong for trans women to be in women's sports then? You obviously don't believe it's on the basis of fairness. So, what's your argument? If that's how a league wants it, that's how the league gets it? Okay. So you believe that a league should be able to say, you're black, therefore you're not able to participate. It is based on fairness. I know you believe that. Which I would figure you're more of like a... You're going to be more aligned with somebody like Destiny, which, fine. That's going to be better than the average person. But I was mainly arguing with the other person. But again, leave women's sports for bio women and everyone else can just compete in men's, which isn't gendered. Okay, Piak, I'm going to ask you again. Or maybe, I guess I didn't ask you, but like, do you believe it's the case that like if A, there's a trans woman who never went through male puberty, right? So there's no unfair advantage. She just went on puberty blockers and HRT, right? Never went through male puberty, never experienced any of those changes. Do you think it's wrong for her to participate in women's sports? If so, what's her unfair advantage? Because you agree it's about fairness, correct? Additionally, do you believe it's the case that like a biological female who, identifies as a woman, but let's say at one point, let's just say she's a detransitioner, okay? So she went through male puberty for like 5 years, okay? Then 2 years ago, she stopped taking testosterone, or however many years ago. Do you think she should be allowed to participate in women's sports? You must say no to that to be consistent. In that hypothetical, I would be fine with it, but you can never make that the norm. What, the norm being based on what puberty you've gone through? Why not? Like, wouldn't you be able to prove that you've gone through, like, which puberty you've gone, like, wouldn't you have, like, medical documents that demonstrate that? You can make a whole private enterprise. Like, yeah, why don't you just, like, pour millions of dollars into making your own league? Wow, yeah, that's very realistic. But that's kind of when I would say no, because while they had male hormones while training in formative years. Okay, so you're consistent. You would agree that like a detransitioner woman who had male hormones in their more formative years should not be able to participate in women's sports. Okay, I'm glad you agree with that. See, you're consistent. You're actually more consistent than most people. So I'll give you that. I'll give you that. I'm okay with people believing that, by the way. I think that that's enough. But what I don't like is when people start with the most left-leaning position and they slowly inch to the right. That always makes me a little bit worried. Okay? And again, Gavin Newsom did not specify this, which is important to note. And I think that gives him more room in the future to move more to the right. If he specified this, he wouldn't have as much room. If he specified what I got you to specify just now, I think that I wouldn't be nearly as worried about it. Right? And again, Newsom isn't doing it out of malice. He's doing it from the standpoint of pragmatism. It's arbitrary, it's a sport. It's a game, the rules are all made up. Yeah, so if the rule is like no black people allowed, you're fine with that. There's no moral issues with that, obviously, because it's just the rule of the game, who cares? I just don't think it's fair to frame that as him giving ground to the right, but that's what he's doing, whether he realizes it or not. Sure, not my sport. Yeah, okay. You're insane. Thinking a sport where you have to be trans to compete is very misogynistic? What? If you never went through biological male puberty, you are female. If you take estrogen block, no, that doesn't make you biologically female. You're more biologically female than you would be otherwise, right? Like I'm on estrogen, but I'm still mostly biologically male. Like when you do HRT and stuff, you are self-inducing an intersex condition, right? But like, even if I were to like have started HRT at like 13 or something, you know, and not go through much, if any, male puberty, right? I wouldn't be female. I would still be mostly male, right? Yes, I would have female, like more pronounced female secondary sex characteristics and whatnot, and less pronounced male secondary sex characteristics, because that wouldn't change my internal sex organs, my primary sex organs, right? Or primary sex characteristics. It wouldn't change my chromosomes. It wouldn't change the size of my gametes. Right? There are plenty of phenotypical and genotypical sex characteristics that would remain male, right? So that's not really, I wouldn't really base it on that, right? I think that what you really mean to say is the ones that are relevant in society, the ones that we actually look at and judge people with, those are the ones that would be considered female, right? So like whether or not like I have like a, you know, sort of like the physical body slash face slash whatever that you would generally expect to see on a woman versus a man, right? Anyways. He's deciding this is an 80-20 issue across both parties. I'll leave it to the sports to decide, but that's not what he said in the interview. I don't know. If you can find me like a quote where he says that in the interview, where he said, I'm gonna let it be up to like the sports to decide, then like, yeah, fair. That's like something I can get behind. But it doesn't seem like he says that. So again, I'd like to see where, you know, where does he fucking say that? Like I don't see him saying this anywhere in the thing that we read. Right? Now again, maybe I'm like, maybe I'm wrong, but if you can find like the quote where he says, well, like the quote that takes place during or after that interview where he says, I'm going to leave it up to the sports organizations to decide, then I will concede. I'm not going to be like dishonest about it or whatever. But this is like based on the information I have. I can look for it if you want. Yeah, I'd actually be interested in seeing that. You could be right. I don't know. I just haven't seen that. So you could be right about Newsom. Point about Israel still stands. But yeah. I'm not gonna get you to agree on that anytime soon, am I? I get verified. Where on the debate server? Yeah, sure. What do you want to debate me on? Let's see. How I built the rock in my Jesus fuck, that's actually impressive. Oh my. Okay, good shit, good shit. This looks like I could see a channel that looks like this getting larger. 18k view. Okay. Okay. Not sure what you would debate me on. What are you going to debate me on? Minecraft PvP mechanics? I'll win that debate. Why'd you pull up my channel? So you looked like a YouTuber? Based on your PFP. Either you're good at drawing or you commissioned art. I'm guessing you commissioned art. Usually when people have like what appears to be commissioned art, they're usually a YouTuber. People don't just like do that for like funsies. Now I drew my own PFP. Okay, you're right. Okay, good shit, good shit. Most people don't do that. Most people don't draw their own PFPs. They either like find like some shit like on the internet or, you know. But yeah, I don't know. I just have like a YouTuber radar. Weirdly. You know. You live stream? Maybe you live stream debates? No. Apparently you did the Gambit SMP. Okay, your live streams don't get that many views. Okay, that's fair though. Most people's streams don't. It's a lot harder to get views on streams. You need to like have like a thumbnail that you do for streams. Also, you're gonna want to like unlist or private some of these, like test. That doesn't need to. Like just make like an unlisted VOD playlist. It'll like you want this to be a little bit more organized. I promise. Sorry, I'm giving YouTuber advice to somebody that hasn't asked for it. I need to stop. Okay. I don't really care about my streams a lot. Yeah, fair. Fair. Do you like my PFP? Let me take a look. It's a horse. But yeah, like the difference between like I wouldn't like see somebody named like WR, like a space and like a PFP like this and like think that's like a YouTuber. You know what I mean? Like you can sort of tell by like the name and profile picture combination. Does that make sense? I don't know. Maybe I'm like insane. Alright, anyways. Rate mine? Okay. Oh my god, everyone's gonna ask me to fucking rate their PFPs now. Great. It looks like Randy S's PFP is a bunch of red dice being rolled. Very good stuff. This is the account I got when I made my email. I used to be pretty active as a YouTuber about 10 years ago. Like, yeah, being a YouTuber 10 years ago is a lot different than being a YouTuber now. And I say this is like an OG. I like how this went from politics to rating YouTube PFPs. Look, I'm very autistic and ADHD ridden, so no, don't be too surprised. I like how there's like this one guy that's like schizo posting. They're just like yapping about like Jesus or whatever, and like nobody's paying attention to them. It's very funny. That's probably why that they've been kept around. It's because it's like funny to laugh at. And it's like, yeah, we're gonna keep our pet schizo. We're gonna keep our pet schizo for now, I guess. Unless the mods get annoyed by it, I guess. I hired Fiverr Jesus to promote my Minecraft server the other day. Dude, I forgot about Fiverr Jesus. Anyways. Oh, my brain filtered out that guy. I just realized he's there. Wow. Yeah. Yup. Pretty much. I was like, you forget he exists, and then he's just like kind of there, and then like you see him and you're like, oh, that's funny. He's like very desperate for attention. I am in everyone. I am you. See, now they're like trying to like pretend like they were actually just joking the whole time. By like being like, actually, I'm gonna like play into the schizophrenia a bit. And it's like, we know that you were just like cringe and schizophrenic, but like now that like everyone's making fun of you, you're like, no, I was actually joking the whole time. I was actually trolling the whole time. It's like you switch from like saying like the shit you unironically believe, and then you get fucking embarrassed, so you just start like, no, I'm just gonna like say like really schizo shit so everyone thinks I'm joking the whole time. And if I say I'm doubling down, then I'm just like a Then I'll just be like trolling. Like, okay. Okay. I'm gonna double down. Y'all know what Loki... Y'all know Loki was the birth of a tree and a thunderbolt? Yeah, it's why Loki is a fire god, or maybe... Wait, what? Alright, I'm tired. I'm gonna like end stream. I'm sorry. I've been going for too long. I'm yapping. Bye. Love y'all. See y'all later.